Yeah, you tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Queuing. H2.0. Yeah. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear.
Welcome to the Queendom, H2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. So if you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must.
This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought.
Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me unleash the dragon.
Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah.
Check the bag, check the tag, check the greed. ICE agents hunting humans just to get the fee they need. They don't care about the name, they don't care about the face. Just a bounty on the soul, trying to scrub them from the plate. Getting paid by the head, yeah, they stacking up the bread. While the families in the shadows, living life in constant dread. It's a business, it's a racket, it's a cold-blooded game. They'll snatch a father from his daughter just to justify the name.
ICE is moving through the night. They're trading souls for federal life. They're apprehend anyone for pay. Doesn't matter who you are, they're gonna take you away for that lean, green. The system's got 'em all that need.
I need the racks, but not like that. No, I need the plaque, but keep the fat straight. YouTube views got 'em acting real strange, selling out the culture for some digital change. Niggas clip the struggle, monetize the pain, while the agents in the street are washing blood with the rain. They getting paid to hunt, I'm getting paid to speak. The government is greed and the sports are so weak. Check the analytics, check the borderline. The greed in the district's gonna drive us out our mind. Apprehending for a bonus, that's a soul-crushing crime. Let you have it, I'd rather have the truth. Stop trading our future and the spirits of our youth.
Money.
Don't let the algorithm change you. They're head full of tall. And standing tall for
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Golden. I'm back with another video, y'all. We got some more things we're gonna get in today. You know, we talk about the politics and stuff that's going on in the government and the world here. So we're gonna get into a few of those topics. But we also gonna get into some celebrity stuff too, y'all, because you know, every now and then we'll give it a little bit of dose of that. So anyway, it is about 1:10 p.m. here in the United States, Eastern Time in the Carolinas. It's a pretty nice day outside. The sun is shining. That snow that we had, y'all, is melting because it's getting back, you know, slightly warm. And so, yeah, it's over for that. No more snowmen. I was walking outside today, and the little kids that was out there that made their little snowmans, the snowmans have melted and disappeared, child. They gone. But other than that, it is a pretty good day. I'm in a pretty good mood. I hope you guys are having a great day too. Respectfully, in whatever time zone it is that you're in, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night. But yeah, y'all, we're going to get into a few topics. So let me go ahead and give y'all a brief synopsis of what we'll be talking about today. So first and foremost, y'all, we got to talk about KRISTI Noem and his DHS crisis, okay? So the Department of Homeland Security, KRISTI Noem, after months of tension regarding Operation Metro Surge and ICE enforcement, House Democrats, led by Jamie Raskin, are officially calling for her impeachment. A federal judge recently blocked her attempts to limit congressional access to ICE facilities. And with the recent fatal powwowings and unalivings in Minneapolis during federal raids, the pressure is now at an all-time high. Is Noem the first domino to fall in this new administration? We're going to get into that and find out. Also, y'all, the disgusting Epstein files and the dark past rumors that have come out now. So the DOJ has dropped a massive 3.5 million pages of Epstein documents. The headlines are focused on two things. Okay. Now, we're going to be talking about Melania Trump and how she is included in some of these Epstein files. While she isn't accused of crimes, the files contain photos of Brett Ratner, the director of her Amazon film, with Epstein and some young woman. Also, the safe files. The critics are calling out Deputy AG Todd Blanche, noting that while 3 million pages were released, another 3 million were reportedly withheld. We're seeing more ties to Hollywood elites and even Stephen Bannon mentioned in these logs. We also will be getting into Tulsi Gabbard as a whistleblower and that scandal that they say is a scandal. Over at National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard is in hot water. Whistleblower.org is alleging that Gabbard has been illegally hiding high-level intelligence from Congress for 8 months to protect herself. Reports suggest a complaint is literally locked in a safe because it contains information that could cause grave damage to national security. Is this a cover-up or a security necessity? We'll get into all of that. And of course, in celebrity news, y'all, we got to talk about MAGA Minaj. MAGA Minaj versus Trevor Noah. So, y'all know the Grammys just happened, okay? And Trevor Noah used his final hosting gig to take a massive swing at Nicki Minaj. He joked that she wasn't at the awards because she was at the White House with Donald Trump comparing assets. Nicki, who has been vocally supporting Trump and showing off her gold card, is reportedly livid. She already teased a response, and fans are waiting to see if she spills any tea on the industry figures who have snubbed her and mistreated her. So we're going to get into all of that on this live here today, y'all. Let's go ahead and get our first video up. And we're going to jump right into it with KRISTI Noem, okay? So as you know, with KRISTI Noem, there is a live impeachment hearing happening. And I have a little bit of that I want to show to you guys as far as her, how she showed up, how she was responding, and some of the questions that was being asked to her, and you can see her being put under, you know, a light, a flame, a heat, okay, looking a little crispy on the edges right now. But I want y'all to see a little bit of this if you have not seen it already. Yeah, people will, you know, they try to hold out best they can, you know, when the heat is on, but you always can kind of see right through. So let's go ahead and get into this real quick. So this is from ET Now News Network, and I'm gonna play a little bit of the conversation, which is actually live right now. So we're just gonna pop in where they're at this moment, but it's bouncing questions back and forth. It's like a ping pong game here. And KRISTI Noem is she's trying. That's what I'll say. But let's go ahead and get into it and watch it together. Give me just a second to get everything set up, y'all. All right, here we go. News reporting, copyright 107, fair use. Here we go.
So you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove. I know you wouldn't do that, but you did. Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
It was a terrorist attack.
wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can
He shot our
respond.
National Guardsman in the head.
Look, Mr. Chairman, will you direct the witness to allow me to ask my question? It was an unfortunate situation, but you blamed it solely on Joe Biden. I want you to know who approved the asylum application for this same person.
Mr. Thompson, this individual that came into the country.
No, I want to know who approved.
Congressman Thompson, I want you to understand.
No.
When this individual came into the country, he came under
I'm not going to let you.
Evacuation of Afghanistan under Operation Allies Welcome, was thoroughly vetted by the Biden administration at that point in time, allowed into our country, and then was never followed up. I want to remind everybody in Congress.
Reclaim my time.
We follow the law, and every asylum is supposed to have a check-in every single year, and the Biden administration failed to do that. They vetted this individual, allowed them into our country, and did not do
The witness will allow the gentleman to ask his question.
Yes or no? Who approved the asylum claim?
The application on the asylum was thoroughly filled out by information that was gathered by the Biden administration.
So the
His
Biden
asylum-
administration approved the asylum.
The asylum application was put into place under the rules established by the Biden administration.
Reclaiming my time. I don't want to file perjury charges against you, but I'm of the opinion that the Trump administration, DHS, your DHS, approved the asylum application.
The asylum application moved forward under all of the information and vetting processes that were put in place under the Biden administration, which is when vetting happened. And that's what President Trump has changed. Under President Trump's administration.
Reclaim my time again.
When
It's obvious you don't want to answer the question. Mr. Kent, you want a shot at it?
The individual was vetted to serve as a soldier in Afghanistan, and that vetting standard was used by the Biden administration as a ruse to bring him here. Had we followed the standard operating procedures for special immigrant visas, that individual and none of the allies welcome people would have come to America. That's on Joe Biden.
Gentlemen's
Just
time is
answer.
expired.
That was the answer.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. That was a murder that took place in D.C. It was not an unfortunate incident. And those comments are effing disrespectful.
Who is that?
I expect better from the
It's not a valid point of order. I will now recognize the gentleman from Texas, former chairman, Mr. McCall, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, great to see you. This hearing reminds me of the novel, A Tale of Two Cities. They see it, the Dems see it as the worst of times, but I see it really as the best of times. And what do I mean by that? Under the Biden administration, 15 to 20 million illegal aliens, unvetted, as you indicated, came into this country. What I think most disturbing is Director Kent's testimony. 18,000 known or suspected terrorists got into this country under the Biden administration. That's why we impeached Mayorkas. I was one of the managers. He told his Border Patrol, you don't have to pay attention to federal law when it says shall detain aggravated felons. He disregarded federal law and says, you know what, may detain. It's discretionary. And guess what? We have thousands of aggravated felons now, or if not millions, in this country today. That was the worst of times. Let me go to the best of times. Most secure border I've seen in my 22 years in Congress. And I've dealt with this for a long time. Coming from Texas, being chairman of this committee, the daily crossings are 95% down from the prior administration. That's the best of times. Zero catch and release. My very first bill in Congress 22 years ago was to end catch and release. 22 years later, we finally have achieved that goal. That, Madam Secretary, is the best of times. An all-time record low. America is safer today. I feel so. And when I look at the Venezuelan vessels attacked, the president had every right under the Constitution, Article 2, international waters, cartels designated as FTOs coming into our country.
When I saw the domain was available, I was like, I'm taking it, I'm trademarking it, I'm going with it.
Iranian oil tankers headed from Venezuela to Cuba, getting around our sanctions that Congress passed. I'm finally seeing an administration flexing its muscle in this hemisphere, which has been neglected for so many years. So air, land, and sea is your charge. It's the military's charge as well. I see the land secure. I see the maritime borders getting more secure, and I applaud you for that. On the air secure piece, I chair the Special Events Task Force. That's FIFA, the Olympics, the 250th anniversary. Drones are the biggest threat as I see it. I see it in Ukraine in its conflict with Russia, and I see it across our border, and I see it at these events. If you could update me, and with the new NDA authorization to allow federal, state, and locals to work together to identify hostile adversary drones and take them down, can you tell me how that will impact your ability, Madam Secretary, to better secure these special events?
Yes, thank you, Congressman McCall, and thank you for your leadership. I understand you're retiring, and I'm sad about that. You've been a statesman. Thank you for serving with such dignity.
Thank you.
The counter drone and drone technology that is out there today, frankly, our authorities haven't kept up with. And so thank you for that legislation. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to truly defend the homeland. Here at the Department of Homeland Security, we are going to be investing upwards to $1.5 billion into drone technology and counter drone technology and mitigation measures that we can deploy not just across different NSC events or large scale events that we're responsible for the security on, but also that we can use to partner with cities and states for celebrations and different things that they may hold as well. So we have the responsibility at the Department of Homeland Security for FIFA and the 11 cities that will be hosting the matches here in the United States, also the Olympics, the America 250 celebrations, also other national security events that happen, such as Mardi Gras and other events that are going on throughout the country. So this program that we will have will not only work within the events that the department is responsible for, but we will be able to sign agreements with states and cities to provide measures that they don't currently have. And we're working with the FAA as well to get what we need to be able to operate. And we don't want just to detect, we don't want to just monitor, we need to mitigate. We need to take these drones down. We need to.
If I could add, my time's going to expire. There is so much technology out there today, counter drone technology, that I've been working to get into Ukraine to protect them from Russian drones that we can deploy at these events. I'd love to visit with you on that at a later date. And thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Gentleman's time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Correa, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I agree with my colleague from Texas. It is a tale of two cities. Secretary Noem, Trump administration, you're going after the worst of the worst criminals, and we agree with you. The problem is 70% of the people you've arrested have no criminal record. You're going after non-criminal immigrants, U.S. citizens, and permanent legal residents. Donna Hughes Brown, Irish citizen, green card holder, 48 years in the United States. She also happens to be the mother of a U.S. Marine, sister to a retired Army colonel. She's in ICE detention since July. She tried to come back from Ireland, arrested, has been there since then. Her crime? She wrote 2 bad checks for less than $80 a decade ago. You arrested her, she's in custody. Her husband, Jim Brown, came to us and told us her story. Jim told us, I voted for President Trump because he promised to go after criminals in our community and not people like my wife. If I can, I'd like to play a video for you. Then he also voted for President Trump.
Yes, sir.
Why did you vote for him?
Because I was an idiot. 80% of the evangelical Christian people were lied to, if you really want to know the truth, and that's exactly what happened. They said criminal, and I believe criminals need to be off the street.
I just want to make sure people watching this understand who you are.
My wife and I, when we don't work, we're ministers. We help the needy. That's what we do. And that's who they're arresting.
Now we've got Mr. Jim Brown before you. He's standing up. Hopefully you can talk to him a little bit. These people, Donna Hughes Brown, are not the individuals that should be deported. Another case, Narciso Barranco was beaten and arrested by masked agents while working as a landscaper. He's an undocumented immigrant, 30 years in this country, not a traffic ticket. Mr. Barranco is also the father of 3 U.S. Marines. 3 Marines. You want to make a movie of people like this. A man who comes to this country, instills patriotism in his kids. They swear an oath to serve and possibly give up their life for this country. We'll play a video on this as well, please.
Masked federal agents were filmed pinning a man to the ground and repeatedly striking him in the head and neck before putting him in an unmarked car. The man in the video has been identified as Narciso Barranco and is the father of 2 active duty Marines and 1 Marine veteran. The Department of Homeland Security said an illegal alien was arrested by Border Patrol agents after he, quote, assaulted federal law enforcement, adding that Barranco, quote, swung a weed whacker directly at an agent's face. Video shared by DHS and reviewed by CNN shows Barranco running with a weed whacker, but does not show him striking officers.
I also have with us today Alex Barranco behind you, a retired Marine. That's his father. And Alex, on behalf of myself, members here, I want to thank you for your service to our country, and we also thank your brothers for serving our great country. Thank you very much. Got another case, George Rete, 25-year-old, native of California, my home state. He's a U.S. citizen, Army veteran who served in Iraq. Well, on his way to work, he came to an immigration checkpoint, pulled over. I don't know where officers deployed tear gas on him, broke his car window, pepper sprayed him, and dragged him out of his car. An American citizen held for 72 hours without any charges, wasn't even given the opportunity to shower, to wash off that paper spray.
Gentleman's time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 articles I'd like to present for the record.
Unanimous consent.
Under President Trump, an agency intended to keep Americans safe has diverted resources from child abuse, trafficking, and terrorism to immigration enforcement. Second is this letter from my Orange County Sheriff, Don Barnes, essentially talking about all the individuals under Prop 50 referred to ICE 2025 year to date. 50 of them.
Without objection.
ICE never showed up to pick them up.
Without objection.
Chairman?
I will
Mr. Chairman?
entertain, I will entertain UCs at the end of the hearing. I want to entertain all UC motions at the end of the hearing. We have witnesses. I want to make sure everybody has time. So if we do this now, we do have a witness has to leave. You're just going to be taking time from other members, but I will entertain UC motions at the end of this hearing. I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, it's great to see you again. Thanks for appearing before us again. I want to echo some of the remarks of Mr. McCall. I want to first thank you. I want to thank the men and women who serve under your command for the incredible job that you have done over the last 12 months. We have seen that you are active in enforcing the rule of law. We have seen a border that is as secure in our lifetime as we have ever seen. You mentioned in your opening statement over the last 4 years, we saw somewhere between 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants enter the country. Just looking at monthly statistical data, we know that under the Biden-Harris administration that in December of 2024, that there were over 300,000 illegal immigrants who were encountered along the southern border in that month alone. Recent statistics by the Department of Homeland Security for October, the most recent statistics we have, show that the number of border encounters for October of this year under your leadership have dropped to 11,000, a decrease of over 95%. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the work that your men and women have done to protect our borders from illegal narcotics entering the country. We saw a press release the Coast Guard sent out this week regarding Operation Pacific Viper. And they mentioned a specific seizure that occurred on December the 2nd by the Coast Guard cutter Monroe, in which in a single incident of interdiction that the Coast Guard had the largest maritime interdiction seizure in almost 20 years, seizing 20,000 pounds of cocaine in an individual seizure. So I thank you for your aggressive actions in enforcing the law and for the incredible work that you and the men and women under your command are doing. I want to talk about, as we talk about threats, I want to talk about threats against law enforcement. Last week, this committee, we had a hearing. The hearing was entitled When Badges Become Targets. And during that hearing, we talked about the threats to law enforcement, specifically federal law enforcement. And even specifically within federal law enforcement, the threats toward ICE agents, the threats toward you and other members of leadership within DHS. We know that those threats and those incidents of physical attack have escalated dramatically, in some cases over 1,000%. And part of the driving against law enforcement. And I brought this up last week, and I want to bring this up again with you and give you a chance to briefly address this. These are just roughly 10 of the statements that I was able to easily find online by elected officials, governors, mayors, in many cases, members of Congress, where they were spewing what I believe to be very harmful statements toward law enforcement. Governor Pritzker claimed that ICE is grabbing people off the street and disappearing them, that our country is becoming Nazi Germany. Representative Crockett compared ICE to slave patrols. Representative Garcia referred to ICE as thugs. Representative Ramirez attacked ICE as a terror force, later a terrorist organization, and then later in the hearing said, let me be clear, the Department of Homeland Security, you can quote me on that, is the single biggest threat to public safety right now. Representative Tlaib said ICE is terrorizing our community, turning our country into a fascist police state. Representative Jayapal called ICE agents deranged and said it's inspiring to obstruct immigration enforcement. Governor Walz smeared ICE agents as modern-day Gestapo. Chicago Mayor Johnson accused ICE of being secret police and terrorizing our community. Representative Lynch referred to ICE agents as the Gestapo and nondescript thugs. And Representative Frost compared ICE operations to some of the worst horrors and crimes against humanity in history. And so, Secretary Noem, I'd like to give you a few moments to, one, address these statements and to speak to how these statements place the safety of our men and women of law enforcement at risk.
Thank you, Congressman Guest. I appreciate you giving me the chance to talk about this because I think the words that these elected officials have used to describe our law enforcement officers are horrific, shocking, and unacceptable. Every single American citizen should find the words that they have used to describe these men and women that took an oath to keep us safe unacceptable and needs to be pointed out that we are seeing the consequences of those words every single day by the violent attacks. 1,000% increase in
Gentleman's
violent
time's
attacks,
expired.
8,000% in death threats.
Gentleman's time expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Tanadar, for 5 minutes of questions. Please remember to stick to the 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Garbarino.
All right, y'all. So I wanted y'all to just hear a little bit of that. We're going to circulate through it because it is, being played on a loop live or whatnot. So as we go on to some of our other topics in between or at the very end of this live, we'll come back. We'll see where they're at then and the conversation that's being held. But as you can see, these are, for most people, boring hearings. I know a lot of people don't really like to listen to them or stay with it, for too long because it can get a little boring. I ain't gonna lie about that. But I do listen to these hearings and I like to hear out everything that's being said on all sides from each and every individual. And KRISTI Noem is there. She is being pushed. She is being challenged. She is being questioned, but she's also equally being supported as well. So as we can see, we are still in a place where there are two sides to the coin. But we're going to move on now, y'all, and go into a song break. After this song break, we'll get into our next topic for the live. And we'll be talking about, y'all, give me just a moment to get this set up here. New revelations after the DOJ released more than 3 million Epstein files. We're not going to stop talking about these Epstein files and this Epstein case, okay? Now, when I play this video for y'all, I'm going to put up the extreme trigger warning because there have now been photos that have been released. They're very disturbing, to say the least. And the reports on what exactly is coming out now is also equally disturbing. And so, I will just let y'all know that ahead of time. We'll be putting up the trigger warning for that. But let's go ahead and take this song break real quick, and we'll be right back and get into that report. And that will be coming from Pix 11 News station. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's play this song. I'll be right back.
They thought we were sleeping, but the spirit is moving. 1 weekend only lost the Fox in the DHS. Yeah. She was playing checkers while we dealing with this mess. And it's pretty in the street, nurse with illegal heat, hosted in a holster, but they killed him for the fees. They restricted to the cities, call it metropolis war. You're knocking down the Constitution on the bedroom door. AOP is split, master screaming, what's the price? Juana Luna's on the stand, yeah, she's skating on the ice. Oh! Can I get a witness? They stripped the bill, they removed the clause. Crockett in the room, she's following the laws. Can I get a time? Yeah, he's feeling on the floor. They want the total search, we're coming with the feds. Trump firing the chiefs while the streets are seeing red. They want the total search, we're coming with the feds. Trump firing the chiefs while the streets are seeing red. Senior, yeah, he dropped the bomb. Said bringing home an in is a crisis never calm. Gestapo Greg Bovino, yeah, he's heading for the gate. Ellison is smiling while the judges pass the fate. Not credible, they said that he lied under the low. Trying to lock the Capital City low. Won't sit in the goal, the rule is distance, persistence. Two way to the left, unlikely alleys fighting back against the state that's about to death. Rise up!
truth now. The surge is crumbling. We see the truth now. The surge is crumbling. The surge is crumbling. The surge is crumbling. We see the truth now. The surge is crumbling. We see the truth now. The surge is crumbling. We see the truth now. The surge is crumbling. The surge is crumbling. The surge is crumbling. We see the truth now.
Well, we definitely see the truth now. It is all coming out. So we're going to go ahead and get into this next video, y'all. Okay, so remember, like I was telling y'all, there is almost 3.5 million pages of Epstein documents that have now been released. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. Okay, this video report right here is going to show some really disturbing images and have some, reports that are very disturbing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the trigger warning here for y'all. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm not going to say too much, okay? It's really nasty word. But the truth is coming out, as it always will. Sometimes it takes a while. People got to fight for it to get it to come out, for justice to be served, and we believe that it will be. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. I'll meet y'all in the chat per usual.
Victims' attorneys asking the judge presiding over the Epstein case to shut down the website that the federal government has released information on, saying that for nearly 100 women, their identities were not properly redacted. And now they've been publicly identified by this release. It includes dozens of nude photos and videos of young women, possibly teens. Attorney General Pam Bondi, in a letter to the judge, saying the department worked through the weekend with attorneys who've reached out to them and expedited removing documents that inadvertently were produced and contain victim identifying information. As for how this happened, going on to say that they've already taken down several thousands of documents and media that may have inadvertently included the information due to various factors, including technical or human error. The Justice Department finally releasing 3 million pages on Friday after missing a December deadline. The department saying some 500 attorneys and staffers working on the release. And now the NFL addressing New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch and his relationship with Epstein. Tisch showing up more than 400 times in this file release, according to emails Epstein provided, scouting reports for women who he set up with Tisch. Tisch so far admitting he knew Epstein, but denies going to his private island. He's not been charged with any wrongdoing.
We are going to look at all the facts. We're going to look at the context of those. We're going to try to understand that. And we'll look at how that falls under the policy. But I think we take one step at a time. Let's get the facts first.
And after a protracted battle, the Clintons have reportedly agreed to be deposed before Congress on this matter. The late-night agreement on Monday, not yet finalized. The former president and Secretary of State had been fighting the move since August. It is the first time a former president faced criminal contempt of Congress charges and the threat of prison time for refusing to sit before the House Oversight Committee.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The Justice Department's released an additional 3 million pages of documents related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and what the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is calling the final release of Epstein files. But there are over 2.5 million more pages that remain unreleased. On Sunday, Meet the Press host Kristen Welker interviewed Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna of California, co-sponsor of the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
Has the Justice Department fully complied with the law, Congressman?
No, they haven't. They've released, at best, half the documents. But even those shock the conscience of this country. I mean, you have some of the most wealthy individuals tech leaders, finance leaders, politicians, all implicated in some way, having emails about wanting to go to Epstein's island, knowing that Epstein was a pedophile. It's frankly one of the largest scandals, in my view, in our country's history, and there is a demand for elite accountability. But the survivors' lawyers that I've talked to have said that the survivors are still upset. They're upset that many of their names accidentally came out without redactions, and they want to make sure the rest of the files come out.
The New York Times reports the new files include 5,300 files containing more than 38,000 references to Donald Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, Mar-a-Lago, and other related words. Many of the references are news articles about Trump, but the new files also include an FBI document that summarizes allegations made against Trump by people who had called the FBI's Threat Operations Center tip line. The documents also reveal new details about Epstein's connections to the rich and powerful across the world. In one email, Elon Musk asked Epstein, quote, "What day night will be the wildest party on your island?" Unquote. Virgin Islands founder Richard Branson sent Epstein an email in 2013 saying he wanted to see him again, quote, "as long as you bring your harem," unquote. Emails showed Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, arranged to visit Epstein's island in 2012, years after Lutnick had claimed he'd cut off ties with Epstein. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said it's unlikely anyone else will be prosecuted. A group of Epstein survivors criticized how the DOJ had handled the release. In a statement, the survivors said, quote, "This latest release of Jeffrey Epstein files is being sold as transparency, but what it actually does is expose survivors. As survivors, we should never be the ones named, scrutinized, and re-traumatized, while Epstein's enablers continue to benefit from secrecy. This is a betrayal of the very people this process is supposed to serve," unquote. We're joined now by two guests. Vicky Ward, longtime investigative journalist, host and co-producer of the podcast series Chasing Ghislaine, the untold story of the woman in Epstein's shadow, which also became a TV series by the same name. Ghislaine Maxwell is expected to testify before Congress on February 9th. Eric Fudali is also with us. He's a partner and managing attorney of the Bloom firm, which is a victims' rights law firm. He represents 11 of Jeffrey Epstein accusers. Let's start with you, Eric. Talk about what came out in these documents and what didn't. In fact, one of your survivors, the people that you represent, was named over 500 times?
That's absolutely correct. 538 times. And what's so baffling is this seems to be sort of the perfect storm between incompetency and an active cover-up. It's both. And it's so mind-boggling because they're withholding documents that they shouldn't be withholding, that the public deserves to see based on attorney-client privilege and some other very vague privileges. But on the other hand, they're showing documents that they shouldn't be showing because they contain unredacted names of survivors. 538 times is an outrageous amount of mistakes to expose a woman who was sexually trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein from Uzbekistan in 2009. And that is so significant because that is a year after Jeffrey Epstein got the sweetheart deal from Alex Acosta, which, again, not a lot of documents there explaining Alex Acosta's decision to ignore survivors and give Epstein this sweetheart deal.
I remember seeing her I was very shocked in Washington when all the other survivors were there. Incredibly brave. She had decided just late the night before to present herself, right, to stand in solidarity from Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
But you spoke for her.
Yes, absolutely. I spoke for her because she's still been hesitant to become public. Some of the collective empowerment of the other survivors really empowered her to at least show up and show her face. That was a really big moment for her. Remember, she was abused while Jeffrey Epstein was wearing an ankle bracelet from the Alex Acosta plea deal. So, I mean, it's really compelling. And now She wants to still remain private. She doesn't want her name out there in the grand, national news. And 538 times the DOJ missed her name. And that is a name that was provided by my firm to the DOJ. There's just no excuse for that type of incompetency and that type of mistake.
And what about the people who are being protected, not the survivors, clearly?
That's what's so mind-boggling about the whole thing is they're naming survivors, they're protecting potential predators, and the real issue here is there's just no oversight. And there's been motions for the court, and we're actually filing an amicus brief and some letters to the court on behalf of our clients to demand that a special master be appointed to review all of the materials and decide what should be privileged, what should be produced, what should be redacted, and what shouldn't. Because right now, the public, the survivors, all of us are forced to trust a Department of Justice, Trump's Department of Justice, that has done absolutely nothing to earn our trust.
Vicki Ward, what were you most struck by with the release of the millions of pages of files and the pages that weren't released?
Right. Well, just to Eric's point about your poor client being trafficked to Epstein in 2009, I did read some interesting exchanges among, redacted officials within the Justice Department, they were dated 2011, and it was when Bradley Edwards, another of the attorneys who's represented so many survivors, was pushing, arguing that it had been a breach of the Crime Victims Act, that this non-prosecution agreement had been done behind their backs without their knowledge. Yeah. And you see these unnamed Justice Department officials saying, well, whether or not that deal was good or bad, we've got to dig in and protect ourselves. But there's almost, I was struck by that. I'm paraphrasing, but it was whether or not that was a good, whatever the content of that deal was, they knew. They knew.
Absolutely.
It was a really bad thing to have done.
There's reporting that Alex Acosta instructed his fellow prosecutors not to inform the victims of the special plea deal. That's a big deal. I was a prosecutor for like 6 months. I didn't care for it. But the one thing I learned in that 6 months is that when you do a plea deal, you inform the victim. So the fact that that's reported that he instructed them not to inform the victims, that's pretty suspicious.
And just for people's memory, because this is a complicated story, back in 2007, what that plea deal was, and the bravery of the Farmer sisters, Maria Farmer coming forward, over a decade before, and the number of young women, girls, children who had been abused, and yet the deal that was reached.
It's really, it's re-victimizing. It's beyond a travesty of injustice. The one thing, he was literally, many victims were ignored, and he was literally given like a slap on the wrist. One thing that is important to understand, though, that the one thing Alex Acosta did do is he did make him a registered sex offender in 2007, 2008. So that was public knowledge. And that brings some real questions to anyone that's been released in these new files. Anyone who is continuing to associate closely with Jeffrey Epstein after he became a publicly known registered sex offender, I think has some questions to answer.
Well, and to that, Amy, I will say, as you know, I have a personal history on reporting this story, and I went through hell in 2002 with Epstein threatening me because I'd got to the Farmer sisters, and I found it nauseating to suddenly see this from Jeffrey Epstein to Graydon Carter bashing me and the questions I'd been asking of him and Ghislaine Maxwell about the pharmacists back in 2002.
Let's be clear, because we've talked about this in detail, but back in 2002, you were writing for Vanity Fair. You were asked to do a piece on this up-and-coming billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, and then you found the story of the Farmer sisters.
Yes.
Epstein actually came into the offices of Vanity Fair.
Behind my back.
And you were about to have twins.
I was about to have twins. I was on bed rest. We were wrapping up the final sort of stages of fact-checking. The Farmer sisters were definitely in the piece and their allegations. But what I did not know was that Jeffrey Epstein had sent my boss this fax, casting all these absurd aspersions on me. And that obviously it was after that the Farmer sisters and their allegations were cut. What I then found interesting, again, going back to what Eric was saying, that there were all these emails from all these guys after it was known that Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender. Even then, I found emails with another Vanity Fair reporter who's sadly dead, John Connolly, but ended up co-authoring a book with James Patterson, now my co-author, Filthy Rich. There are all sorts of correspondence.
It was called Filthy Rich.
Yes. There were all sorts of correspondence about John Connolly. And at one point, Epstein reaches out to Michael Wolff and says, shall we ask Graydon? In other words, Graydon Carter was part of the boys' club, at least in Epstein's mind, that part of the boys' club, along with Elon Musk and Steve Tisch and Howard Lutnick and Richard Branson and,
Richard Branson, who is the founder of Virgin Airways.
Yes, and, Andrew Mountbatten. It was, we just see over and over again in these documents, this is just one big billionaires' boys' club that, treated women like objects. I mean, discussion of, I don't want to even talk about it on here, the discussion of their body part. I mean, and you see Epstein writing, let's not put this down on paper too much. I mean, he at least he was aware of that. But I do want to mention one thing, which is, as you mentioned, Ghislaine Maxwell is supposed to testify before the House Oversight Committee virtually next Monday. And I think we probably won't learn anything. I think she's going to plead the fifth. But in her habeas corpus filing that she's filed as part of her appeal, she does talk about 25 men with whom settlements were done. And she claims that they were pressured into doing these settlements because of the criminal proceedings hanging over her. I have always said that my sources have told me this, that there were a lot of civil settlements done behind the scenes with men who, and if those settlements had not been done, maybe they would be being criminally prosecuted.
When you say private settlements, you mean money settlements?
Yes.
With survivors?
Yes, with non-disclosure agreements.
And you represent 11 survivors, but the Uzbekistan survivor, the woman who came from Uzbekistan being promised a modeling deal, was 19?
Right.
It wouldn't have happened to her if Jeffrey Epstein back in 2007.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what's so appalling about that deal is it did absolutely nothing to protect women from Jeffrey Epstein. That's the whole point of what a district attorney is supposed to do when they catch criminals. It's to stop them in their tracks and to protect the other potential victims. And that's the exact opposite what Alex Acosta and his team did. That's what's such a travesty, because had he not given him that sweetheart deal, had he not given the slap on the wrist, my client and many, many other women would have never met Jeffrey Epstein, would have never been trafficked, and their lives would be much, much different today. And that's the other such a frustrating thing about the documents releases. I'm not seeing anything. I haven't seen anything really explaining the prosecution agreements, the prosecutor's notes, what really the discussions, the emails, what went in to that deal that is such a suspicious and just really travesty of an injustice type of deal.
Well, you do see, what you do see though, again, is the brotherhood at work. You do see how Alex Acosta was great buddies with Jay Lefkowitz, another of the lawyers on Jeffrey Epstein's team, that Epstein was very clever, bringing in all the lawyers that he thought would be able to work, lawyers in the Justice Department for whatever reason. Alex Acosta, once he left his position in government, went into private practice in the same firm as Jay Lefkowitz. I mean, this is how the world works, really tragically.
Finally, there are extreme allegations in these millions of pages of murder, of sexual assault. In one case, President Trump, it's talked about having raped a 13-year-old. But these are allegations, although there was a lawsuit brought by a young woman who that lawsuit was then taken away immediately.
Yeah, vanished, right? You're talking about Katie.
And these come through a tip line, of course.
Yes.
These all have to be investigated, but it looks like Blanche says the investigations are done.
Yeah.
That's what he says, but he's also withholding documents, apparently, due to ongoing investigations or something very vague about that. And again, that's why we need a special master, someone to oversee this other than the Department of Justice policing itself. Because I don't believe the Department of Justice can be trusted to police itself when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, because Jeffrey Epstein continues to be the only criminal I've ever, looked into who continues to get special treatment beyond the grave.
Thanks for watching Democracy.
All right, y'all. So I just wanted to go ahead and play a little bit of, that conversation and those reports. And again, we have to remember, as we're talking about this, a lot of these things, it is public record, some of them, and some of them are alleged. And so we are not, and this platform is not, solidifying any of these facts and details, and we would never put this information out without suggesting that people do their own research and go out and look up this information that we are reporting to you. I'm just bringing the reports, what is being talked about and what is being said. I'm not making any, solidified, excuse me, I got hiccups now, solidified reports. Okay. This is all alleged. So it's allegedly, we're sharing this information and talking about it, that under the copyright 107 for news reporting, educational materials. Oh my God, I gotta get rid of these hiccups. But I wanted to make that disclaimer, okay? Because we're not saying for sure. This information is public information. So go out there and find it for yourself. We're going to take a quick song break, and then we're going to get into our next video, which also is equally as triggering. This is going to be a video about some of the Epstein survivors, and they will be speaking out, a few of them. And so we'll get into that in just a minute. I'm going to get rid of these hiccups. I'm going to play a quick song break, and we'll be right back.
Check the pulse of the nation, feel a tremor in the ground. Another hollow promise, another hateful sound. The burner phones are buzzing, the leak, DMs exposed. The country club whispers about the people in their robes. They smiling for the cameras, preaching unity and grace. We're drafting legislation to keep you in your place. The dog whistles the sirens, now the hoods are in the open. Igniting tiki torch shadows, leaving spirits broken. They want to turn the clock back to a time of guilt and pain, where progress is a dirty word and fear is how they reign. But every soul they try to crush just learn to stand up straighter. This ain't a game of politics, this is gladiator.
Enough is enough. The whispers turn into the heat. Official getting shut up. Enough is enough. Where the people at the table filling up our cup. Filling up. This ain't about a party. The lines are clearly drawn. It's the light against the darkness that's coming for the dawn. Holy versus evil is the truth against the lie. We ain't backing down. With a fire in the sky.
They coming for the libraries, wanna burn away the facts. Erase the bloody chapter so you can't see the tracks. They gerrymandering the district, drawing every map. Your vote is just an echo caught inside the power trap. They purging names from voter rolls and calling it secure, while scream about election fraud to keep their motives pure. They wanna legislate the scars upon a woman's soul, and own the very choices that were never theirs. Control from the classroom to the courthouse, a calculated scheme to suffocate the promise of the American dream. But they forgot the dream was dreamed by rebels and by slaves, and their spirit is the very ground that trembles in their graves.
Enough is enough.
Call it policy, they call it survival, we call it tyranny. They stand on podiums with a Bible in their hand, but don't know the first thing about the soul of this land. This is for the teacher hiding books up on the shelf, for the doctor taking notes to more than just himself. This is for the dreamer facing down an ice patrol, for every ancestor's prayer that paid the spirit's toll. Their power is an illusion, a fortress made of glass. Our strength is in the future, they are terrified to let pass this hurricane of justice, an earthquake of the soul. It's a holy fire raging, and it's out of their control.
Enough is enough. Stand too long now that you can't stand. Enough is enough.
All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this next video real quick, okay? I'm trying to get rid of these hiccups, so I really do apologize. I know how unprofessional that can sound, having hiccups while you're trying to speak. But let me go ahead and get this video up. This is the next one that we're gonna be playing, okay? And so, like I said, extreme trigger warning and viewer discretion is advised, okay? This is Epstein survivors demand takedown of files that have been released from the DOJ. A lot of these files that have been released from the DOJ have not been released in the most safe way, because some of the survivors' names and information is visible on the documents. And so this is why the survivors are saying, you know, they're releasing the files, okay, that's one thing, but they have their names, identities, and information that is connected to said file that is being released, because there's so many of them. I mean, there's so many pieces of paperwork and documents that I don't think the people are vetting them properly and in a safe way, to where they are redacting and removing the personal information of each of these survivors. And so they are speaking out against that. We know how significant that can be when your personal information is attached to a document or anything like that. We know about doxing over here on YouTube, okay? But it's not saying that we can't say that they are specifically doing this to dox the survivors. We can't be sure. But when these type of things do happen, it does put survivors in an unsafe place. So let's go ahead and get into this video. I got to drink some more water, try to get rid of these hiccups. I'll be right back. We'll get into this together, and I will meet y'all in the chat per usual. Okay, let's get into it.
News this Monday night to the Jeffrey Epstein files and the outrage growing at this hour after the DOJ accidentally revealed the names of nearly 100 survivors. The New York Times also reporting that dozens of images of young nude women were also released by the DOJ. What the survivors are demanding tonight, and here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, fresh anguish for nearly 100 victims of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein after the Justice Department accidentally released their names and reportedly some of their images as well. Today, attorneys for victims demanding that all 3 million pages made public last week be taken down, telling a judge every hour matters. The harm is ongoing and irreversible. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has acknowledged mistakes were made.
Every time we hear from a victim or their lawyer that they believe that their name was not properly redacted, we immediately rectify that.
But previously anonymous victims say that's not enough. I have never come forward, wrote one woman, identified as Jane Doe. This is devastating to my life. Please, I'm begging you to delete my name. Tonight, fellow survivors like Danny Binsky speaking out.
For survivors who have never, ever come forward, this is heartbreaking.
And the New York Times reporting that DOJ published dozens of nude images of young women or possibly teenagers before taking them down when they were alerted. The latest DOJ release, which officials say is the last one, included hundreds of mentions of President Trump, most of them in newspaper articles. Trump and Epstein were friends in the 1990s. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they'd had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years.
They released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do.
Trump has denied any wrongdoing. The Justice Department has said they found no reason to charge anyone else with crimes. But tonight, who's who of rich and powerful men forced to explain why they apparently maintained communication with Epstein after he was convicted of sex crimes. Everyone from Elon Musk to Giants co-owner Steve Tisch, to Trump's current Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, to Britain's former Prince Andrew, who was pictured in these photos leaning over a young woman lying on the floor. All the men say they have done nothing wrong and insist they knew nothing about Epstein's crimes. But tonight, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying Andrew, who was stripped of his royal titles because of his entanglements with Epstein, should testify before Congress, saying Epstein's victims have to be the first priority. Tonight, DOJ says it has taken down thousands of pages of documents that may have included names and pictures of victims. A judge has scheduled a conference hearing for Wednesday to discuss whether more can and should be done. David, the victims say this is all causing them even more pain.
Pierre Thomas live in Washington tonight. Pierre, thank you.
Augment Code just outperformed 6 of the top 8.
EPSTEIN files are sparking outrage across the nation. The Department of Justice revealed the names of nearly 100 survivors in the latest batch of unsealed documents. And as Pierre Thomas reports, survivors are demanding answers and accountability tonight.
Tonight, fresh anguish for nearly 100 victims of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein after the Justice Department accidentally released their names and reportedly some of their images as well. Today, attorneys for victims demanding that all 3 million pages made public last week be taken down, telling a judge every hour matters. The harm is ongoing and irreversible. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has acknowledged mistakes were made.
Every time we hear from a victim or their lawyer that they believe that their name was not properly redacted, we immediately rectify that.
But previously anonymous victims say that's not enough. I have never come forward, wrote one woman, identified as Jane Doe. This is devastating to my life. Please, I'm begging you to delete my name. Tonight, fellow survivors like Danny Binsky speaking out.
For survivors who have never, ever come forward, this is heartbreaking.
And the New York Times reporting that DOJ published dozens of nude images of young women or possibly teenagers before taking them down when they were alerted. The latest DOJ release, which officials say is the last one, included hundreds of mentions of President Trump, most of them in newspaper articles. Trump and Epstein were friends in the 1990s. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump said they'd had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years.
They released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do.
Trump has denied any wrongdoing. And the Justice Department has said they found no reason to charge anyone else with crimes. But tonight, a who's who of rich and powerful men forced to explain why they apparently maintained communication with Epstein after he was convicted of sex crimes. Everyone from Elon Musk to Giants co-owner Steve Tisch, to Trump's current Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, to Britain's former Prince Andrew, who was pictured in these photos leaning over a young woman lying on the floor. All the men say they have done nothing wrong and insist they knew nothing about Epstein's crimes. But tonight, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying Andrew, who was stripped of his royal titles because of his entanglements with Epstein, should testify before Congress, saying Epstein's victims have to be the first priority. DOJ says it's taken down thousands of pages of documents that may have included names and pictures of victims. A judge has scheduled a conference for Wednesday to discuss whether more can and should be done. The victims say this is all causing them even more pain. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Washington.
Traditional dropshipping is dead.
All right, y'all. So I do, apologize about having to put up the trigger warnings and stuff when it's coming to these files and the conversation around this whole Epstein situation. It is very serious. It is very triggering. And as we can see, with these files coming out so quickly now and at mass amounts, that there is some, respectful reviewing of said files and redacting of survivors' information, images, and so on and so forth, because it's all just kind of being thrown out there. And I know a lot of people are like, this is good. We've been waiting for these files. We've been asking for these files. These files need to be released so we can really see what's going on. But we also have to remember that within said files, there are survivors and innocent people that have now, may have been young at that time, but they're adults now. They have children, they have families, they have careers, and their names, their images being released in a public way in these said files can add a lot of discord to their lives. And so this is what some of these survivors have been speaking up about. It's not necessarily the fact that the files are being released and the stories are being told. It's in the manner, in the way that they're going about doing it. And by releasing it in such mass amounts and so quickly, a lot of this information is not being covered or redacted, and it's putting some of these survivors in positions to where they're uncomfortable, they're embarrassed, or they may not feel safe. And so we have to remember when we're reporting on things like this and we're talking about things like this, there is a duty, I believe, when it comes to the people who are reporting or releasing these types of files and information and receipts and facts and all of these things, that they are keeping in mind that the individuals that were survivors or victims of these said crimes and injustices, their lives still go on. They are still out here, working, like I said, have families, have children, have husbands and spouses and things of that nature. And so we must be very careful when we move on reporting on things like this or releasing said documents and stuff like this, to not put anybody in harm's way, embarrass them, or expose them if they're not ready or in a position for that information to be released and that truth to be told. And it's not necessarily that all of these survivors want the world or the public to know that they were a victim or they were someone that was or underwent the abuses of Epstein and other people, or however it all goes down, right? There's some people, they have no problem with it. They don't mind having that information out there publicly. And there are some people that are more discreet and they wouldn't like it to be out there. They don't want it to be known that this is something that they experienced and they survived through and lived through and had to go through. And so we must be, understanding when it comes to that. And when we're putting out information like this, whether we're just reporting or we're trying to, show pieces of evidence for proof or receipts or justice, that we're doing it in a respectful way, and we're doing it in a way that we are keeping everyone comfortable. But at least not the ones that committed the crimes, but at least the people, the victims and the survivors of said crimes, comfortable. It must be drawn out in a way to where they feel comfortable, and things are not being done to put them in a place where they no longer feel comfortable. And so that's what that piece of report was about. We're going to go ahead and get into the next video, and then we're going to move forward. We're going to get up off of the Epstein file, but I want to make sure that we're talking about these Epstein files and we're having a conversation. We're not sweeping it under the rug. We're not being distracted away from it, because it's very serious. And we're here now. We're here now. This is what a lot of people were asking for. This is what a lot of people were demanding, and we're here now. Is it possibly being sloppily done or being done for some purpose, to expose or get back at somebody or hem somebody up? Perhaps, right? And that's why we're talking about this information coming out in the proper way, in a professional way, where the survivors and victims are protected. But the files are here, the truth is coming out, and sometimes it can't necessarily be at any means necessary, because when it comes to a survivor or it comes to someone who's been victimized in these type of ways at the hands of these type of monsters, we have to have compassion and understanding for their experience, what they went through at that time, how their life continued to go on after said offense, and how they, may have to go to therapy, may wake up with nightmares or night terrors. We don't know what people go through when they experience these type of traumas. And so we have to be understanding when it comes to that. And remember that there is a person on the other side of this offense. There's multiple people, right? There's the offender, and then there's the offended. We have to be, and keep in mind when we're doing things like this, to actually have an empathy and a sympathy and an understanding and a care for the individuals that may have been the survivors or victims. Anyway, I know I'm repeating myself. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into the next video, y'all. Now, again, this is going to be the last one that is connected with right now on this live, the Epstein files. But there is some information that is coming out with Melania Trump's connection to Epstein in the Epstein files. And so I'm going to go ahead and get into that. And that's going to be reported on from none other than Ben Masilis from the Midas Touch Network and podcast. If you guys have not subscribed or checked out Midas Touch, please do so. I promise you, y'all are going to see some really, really, really great content, and you're going to learn a lot by watching his platform. I know I have. And we also keep in mind that Ben is a lawyer now, and he also has a lot of lawyers around him all the time. So we are getting the legal facts from an integral place. And so I love watching and listening to Midas Touch and Ben's network. And he also has a lot of other great co-hosts that come on, and other individuals with their own channels and platforms as well that partner with him to do great work. It's a family business. It's a really great platform, and I hope you guys support it and check it out. And we know that Midas also, or if you don't know, he has been under attack as well from Trump and his regime, because he tells the truth when it comes to Trump and this administration. And we know that this is what they don't like, the truth to come out. And so let's go ahead and get into this video, y'all. I'm gonna get this up on the screen. So this is, like I said, going to be Melania's dark past gets outed by the Epstein file release. Let's go ahead and get into it, and I will meet y'all in the chat per usual.
Yesterday was a very bad day for Melania Trump. Her dark past is surfacing, and she wants people to believe that her film was a success when it was an utter disaster. By the way, the Midas Touch Network broke an exclusive that Trump faith-based leaders, and I put that in quote, were encouraging bulk buys in order to try to manipulate ticket sales. I'll get to that in a moment. But let's talk about Melania's dark past surfacing. So Melania, you can try to threaten lawsuits against people like Donald Trump's former biographer, Michael Wolff, or you could threaten lawsuits against Hunter Biden, but you're not scaring anybody. Michael Wolff sued you. You have not countersued him, and you've been running away as Wolff tried to serve you with the lawsuit. Then you rush to federal court and say that Michael Wolff's lawsuit against you should be dismissed because you've been dodging service of the summons and complaint. But as I mentioned, your dark past is surfacing, Melania. Your name is appearing in these Epstein files that your husband's DOJ, that he weaponized, released on Friday. Now, to be very clear, just because your name appears, I'll let the people judge and form their own opinions, Melania. I'm just going to stick to what the documents say that Trump's DOJ produced. So, of course, there was the document that I covered on another video. So let me do that one first. But then I'll show the document next that talks about Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. I'm reading from the document. I'm not attesting to the truth of the matter asserted. I'm just reading documents from the files, and I'm letting my audience draw opinions however they see fit using my First Amendment right. So there was the October 23rd, 2002 email from you to Ghislaine Maxwell. Hi, G. I thought you didn't know Ghislaine. I thought that you didn't have a relationship. You had a nickname for her. You called her G. You're also in photos with her. But dear G, how are you? Nice story about Jeffrey Epstein in New York Magazine. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How is Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania. So you had nicknames for Ghislaine Maxwell. You plan to meet again in New York, in my opinion, based on this email. And isn't that the New York Magazine where Donald Trump said Epstein is a great guy who likes women on the younger side? That wasn't a red flag, Melania. It wasn't a red flag that the Mar-a-Lago spa was being sent to Epstein's home a few miles down the road. Not a red flag there, Melania, because you were talking to Ghislaine during the height of a child sex trafficking ring that Ghislaine and Jeffrey were involved in. J.E., as you nicknamed him. Let's take a look at this other document, Bates number EFTA 159322. This appears to be a proffer to the FBI And here's what it says. So-and-so put in contact with an agent named Paolo Zampoli, who worked with ID models. Now, these next few sentences are redacted. I don't think they should be redacted. The Epstein Transparency Act specifically says that these redactions are a violation of law unless it specifically gives the name of a victim. So does this label victims and survivors? Okay, well then let's read the next sentence. Zampoli was trying to buy elite models with Epstein. Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. So they're saying Zampoli wanted to buy elite models with Epstein here, and Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. I thought, Melania, you said Zampoli was the one who made that introduction. Was it Zampoli and Epstein? I'm just asking questions, as I have a right to do under the First Amendment. Goes on to say, Epstein was visiting Zampoli at the agency when there was casting auditions for models. Epstein was looking through portfolios and saw photographs of her wearing only swim bottoms. Blank and Zampoli were at nightclub with Epstein, who was there with a woman who believed was, and all this is redacted, someone called either a girl or Epstein and invited, this is redacted, to dinner, went to Epstein's residence on 71st Street in Manhattan. This was the first one-on-one interaction that seems like a Jane Doe had with Epstein. Epstein made her wait. She heard him playing the piano. Jane Doe did not recall if she went upstairs. Jane Doe and Epstein had dinner in the dining room. This was straight ahead. When you walked into his home, Epstein asked Jane Doe what she liked to do. Jane Doe told Epstein she liked studying and that she was a good student. They talked about travels and Jane Doe having a model contract in Japan and South Korea. Jane Doe mentioned that she thought there was a lot of Russian prostitution. Epstein told her, that's what I like best. Jane Doe recalled Epstein saying something that made her uncomfortable. Epstein gave Jane Doe a tour of the house, took her to the massage room, had her lay down, took out a vibrating thing, and rubbed it on her. Jane Doe told him to stop. Jane Doe described the massage room as small, very dark room on the same floor as the master bedroom. A driver took Jane Doe home, and she remembered being very tearful in the car. And the next morning or a day later, Jane Doe recalled that Epstein called her. Jane Doe was unsure how everything progressed from there. Epstein may have offered her an English class, which Jane Doe attended. Melania, why is your name on that document? Melania, why is it on that document, Melania? I thought you said Melania. Then there's this handwritten note in the Epstein file. Ex-husband put in contact with agent Paolo Zampoli, ID models, organized to come to New York to model, living at model's apartment, didn't have funds to pay own apartment, accommodate 10, same state as model agency Varick Street, had an affair with agent. He's trying to buy elite models with Epstein. He introduced Melania Trump to president, thinks he's an ambassador now. Jeffrey visiting Paolo at agency, casting for models, auditions. Jeffrey Epstein, left through portfolios. Jeffrey Epstein looked at mine when he was wearing bottoms swim short.
Pouring more into social and search, Dave just realized that it brings less.
Melania, does everybody remember this article from the New York Times? When Donald met Melania, Paolo was there. He secured Mrs. Trump's visa to the United States and introduced her to Donald Trump at a 1998 party he hosted at the Kit Kat Club. Mr. Zampoli's parties have featured an alligator, tiger cubs, and models at nightclubs blowing kisses at fashion television cameras. So Zampoli owned his own modeling agency. And his agency brought in young ladies or girls, unclear the age, from Eastern Europe. Then these young ladies would go to the Kit Kat Club parties and meet wealthy men at the Kit Kat Club. That's how Melania met Donald. Melania's telling is Zampoli through this party at the Kit Kat Club. She says it wasn't Epstein. But it's interesting because if you look at these proffers and statements from the Epstein files, what they describe is Epstein and Zampoli wanting to merge their modeling agencies or work together to buy other modeling agencies. By the way, Trump owned modeling agencies at this time, and Epstein and Donald Trump and Zampoli were all kind of copying each other's modeling agencies. And Melania is mentioned in these reports. Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the Midas Touch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Midas Mighty and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call, see if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. She's referenced in other files as well. In a January 21st, 2018 email between Epstein and Michael Wolff, they say the following: from Epstein to Michael Wolff, Achilles heel, Melania. Transcript: Melania focused on dates of porn star, before birth of Barron or after. They also now have 2 armies of people escorting her kids to school. Friday, January 12, 2018, Jeffrey Epstein to Michael Wolff, holding up his shithole countries comment. His I will sign whatever is put in front of me clearly shows cracks in his mental state. Transcripts could drive him over the edge if Melania's story doesn't come out. How about Steve Bannon's messages to Epstein? Do you know Marion, Donald's new friend? Madeline Westerhout, very funny. Bannon goes, she is the receptionist. Good kid, Grudem. Came from RNC. Epstein goes, knee pads. Doing God's work. Bannon says LMAO. Epstein, he's much more calm, but the sight of him in the residence in his undies is hard to fathom. I'll give you details when I see you. Then they go on to say, the 2 things he dreads at the moment is that an email from his ex saying he has a small dick and his transcript. The staying away from family over holidays is a huge tell. That's for Madeline. Whoa, wake up, dude. She has a way about her, saving the world in my view. Then we really need an intervention. And they are describing what they suggest is Madeline and Donald Trump.
Excuse me, sir. How old were you when you made your first million?
What is this for?
I'll let you read into it however you want to read into it. But Trump's personal assistant, Madeline Westerhout, was fired after alleged comments about Ivanka and Tiffany. By the way, here's Melania and Zampoli at the time. You see them right there. So that brings me, by the way, to this other piece of news right here, an exclusive that the Midas Touch Network brought. White House advisor pushed bulk sales for Melania movie. You know, Jeff Bezos put $75 million or more into this movie of Melania, and they're trying to brag that they're like, this broke records, $7 million it earned in its first week. That's not a good thing when you lose. I guess it's Trump math. Losing $69 million is a huge win right there. But here's what we're learning as well, Melania. Supporters are encouraged to buy group tickets and private screenings from a faith group, from a Christian group. It says, bulk sales of the new documentary, Melania, are being promoted through emails from the National Faith Advisory Board, a faith coalition led by Paula White Cain, who served as a senior advisor in the White House Faith Office. It says the film had almost 7 million from the opening weekend. There's Pastor Paula White Cain using her religious position to apparently sell Melania tickets. The message encourages supporters to purchase group tickets. Let's look at what the message was to all of these Christians who are part of this group who got the message. Melania movie in theaters. Let's support our First Lady. Book with your group. So it's like your Christian group needs to go and buy out theaters. I guess that's how you're going to become closer to God, right? Why supporting this film is important. For years, our First Lady's story was talked about, but never told, judged without being understood, and reduced when it deserved depth. Let's take this film all the way to #1. And then it talks about buying out theaters for $1,500 and $3,000, and that will go to the ticket sales that ultimately get reported. Then Melania and Trump have their embarrassing state regime media, which called itself Fox News. You have Kayleigh McEnany said, my mom went to see it. There was standing room only. Standing room only isn't a thing in movie theaters. But here's what they're saying on state regime media. Play this clip.
It soared past expectations, bringing in more than $7 million at the box office in its opening weekend. Now, that is the most of any non-concert documentary in a decade. Now, legacy film reviewers were so certain that it wouldn't do well. Well, they would be wrong. Emily, my mom went to this weekend in Florida. She said not only was the theater packed, it was, standing room only. If you could try to sneak in the back of the theater, people were cheering through it. They were excited. It was interactive. People interplaying with the film. She said it was just electric.
Here's what Morrow is saying on state regime media. Play this clip.
But what they're really worried about is if this is indicia for the midterms, because they're all saying, oh, it's done. We're going to control Congress. This is the indication that that silent majority is still out there.
You think that's indicia of the midterms, that the Melania movie lost $69 million? Okay. Here's Campagno on the Melania movie. Play this clip.
Yes, they are.
Sorry.
No,
Women is
just
what they're worried about here.
To analogize, remember when Laura Trump's song was #1 on Apple iTunes and no one talked about it?
Yep.
Our books that are all New York Times #1 bestsellers, no one talks about it. The whole point is the pop culture, the actual audience that is so popular and loves things are all of a sudden, they are mute on the left about the coverage.
An IQ of 85 to 100.
And also, okay, I mean, it's just like the clowns, like clownish fascists. And here's Melania with Brett Ratner right here, her director. Take a look. Here's Brett Ratner in the Epstein Files with someone who looks very, very young. The face is redacted. And then Brett Ratner went on Piers Morgan to promote the Melania film. And Piers Morgan said, so what's your response to the picture of you in the Epstein Files? And Ratner's like, oh, that's my fiance. And then Piers is like, okay, what's her name? I don't know her. I don't know who she is. Here, play this clip.
As you know, a picture came out of you with Jeffrey Epstein with 2 apparently young women in it. What is your response to that picture? And what is your response to the wider scandal of the Epstein Files?
Oh, well, that picture in particular happened around 20 years ago, out of 20 to 21 years ago, because that is a photograph of my fiance who invited me to this event. And that's where the picture was taken. I was never been in contact with Jeffrey Epstein before that photo, and I was never in contact with him after. So that's a picture of me and my fiance at some event.
Wow. So who was the fiance, if you don't mind me asking?
She doesn't want me sharing her name in the case, but that's my fiance, 100%. Was my fiance.
But you're not still.
I'm not.
I'm going to say you're not still with them.
No.
He's not engaged.
Yeah.
It's the world's longest engagement.
No,
20 years.
20 years ago, I was engaged to her when that photo was taken.
Right.
Yes.
And your position is you never met Epstein before or after that picture, that night?
No, never.
Well, I'll let you judge for yourself, folks. Melania. What happened? Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. And thanks everybody for watching.
All right, y'all. So as y'all can see, there is some questionable things that have now been, found and reported in these files, these Epstein files. And Melania's connection and name, it seems to be all up and through. And so people are just asking, people are curious, what the heck is going on? And then Monty says, yeah, right, theaters packed where? Exactly. Like, where are the theaters packed? Child, we played a video, and I think one of my lives yesterday, with a lot of the responses, not just on Rotten Tomatoes, but on social media platforms, of people giving their feedback and what they really feel about this film. And it's a bust. It's a bust. Okay, the people don't want to see it. They don't like it. They don't understand what it's for, what it was done for. There's that, right? So we got that whole thing. And then now to find out, wow, name is all up and through, and connections all up and through with the Epstein files and situation. It's really nasty work. But I would ask us as intellectual forward thinkers, are we surprised? Are we really surprised that her name is connected to the Epstein files? That there's been communication with all these people? I won't say too much, y'all, because y'all know how I can get, and I want to be very careful with the things that I say, because this is a very tense and touchy topic. So I'm not going to say too much, y'all, but my personal opinion and my personal response to all of this is I'm not very much surprised. But anyway, y'all, we got to take a quick song break. After this song break, we're going to get into our very next topic that we're going to be talking about. And this one's coming from none other than the I've Had It podcast, also another amazing podcast and YouTube channel that you guys have got to check out. I love these ladies. And we're going to be talking about, or they're going to be talking about, the Trump administration has now been caught trying to bury whistleblowers. Tulsi is in hot water. We're going to get into that, y'all. We'll be talking more about that, and they'll be talking more about that. And y'all, with the comedy and not holding anything back. But first, we'll take this song break, and I'll be right back. We'll get that video up in just a moment, y'all. I'll see y'all in a bit.
On the bill is looking faded and frayed. The fourth estate is corporate owned and heavily paid. They're trading in the facts for a narrative fabricated. If you leak the truth, you get deleted and degraded. Look, the teleprompter's glowing with the scripted out deception. A digital infection to manipulate perception. They steer the conversation in a singular direction, while the First Amendment's dying with no hope of resurrection. It's a manufactured crisis, yeah, they're selling us the fear. Whispering the lies until it's all the people here. They call it fact-checking just to keep the vision blurry, while they bury every whistleblower in a frantic hurry. Silence in the streets, silence in the booth, a total moratorium on anyone with truth. They're tearing out the pages, yeah, they're burning down the fence. A war against the people and against our common sense. It's the sound of the violence, it's heavy and it's cold. It's the sound of the violence, it's heavy and it's cold. Check the independent outlets, yeah, they're catching all the heat. The ones who skip the press release and actually hit the beat. But the algorithms weaponize, the reach is getting throttled. The spirit of the journalist is suffocated bottle. They shadow ban the brave and they platform the fake. It's a psychological game with the highest of stakes. If you don't toe the line, then they label you a threat, putting filters on your mouth like a suffocating net. They claim they're stopping harm, but they're only stopping thought. Democracy is auctioned and the airwaves have been bought. The gatekeepers are frantic, they're losing their control, so they're trying to put a padlock on the collective soul. They're cutting the wires, they're pulling the plugs, treating the seekers of truth like the thugs. From the boardrooms to the courtrooms, the pressure is rising. The death of the discourse of what they're devising. The spark in the dark is a beautiful thing. Let the bells of the rebels and dissidents ring. So what's the price of peace? peace if the cost is your tongue. The songs of the ancestors are waiting to be sung. They want us quiet, compliant, and staring at the floor while they're locking up the exits and they're bolting every door. But the truth is a frequency they can't fully jam. I'm a man with a mind, I'm not a ghost in their program. No more silence. The loudest thing in the world is the truth they try to hide. Keep the mic on, keep the eyes open. Keep the eye camera silent. Keep the eye camera silent. Keep the eye camera silent. It's the sound of lovers' eyes.
All right, y'all. So thank y'all for rocking with me with that song right real quick. I think it's kind of actually ties into everything we're talking about, you know. But anyway, let's go ahead now and get into this conversation over here with I've Had It. Child, I've had it too. And this is why I really love listening to their podcast and their platform. If you guys have not checked them out, please head on over there and subscribe to the channel. Watch some of their content. Like the videos and share it with anybody else so you think will like it as well. And also become a member on the channel. I'm telling you, for real, these ladies break it down. They keep it real. They say the things that I really wish that I could say. They give me life. So let's go ahead and get into this, y'all. We are going to be talking about, like I said, Trump administration has been caught now trying to bury whistleblowers. And so we know that this is what they do. But let's go ahead and listen to this report from I've Had It podcast. Let's get into it.
Russian agent forever. That it's really not even disputed. So the fact that she is the director of national intelligence is chilling. And then this report came out yesterday, and I know exactly where my mind went. The Daily Beast reports Trump's spy chief has locked up a potentially explosive whistleblower complaint against her as she battles with lawyers about sharing it with Congress, which I did not know. She is required to share these with Congress. So where did your mind go the minute you saw that?
A whistleblower reported that she is mining information or doing Russian type things, that this is direct link to the Russian government. Yep. And interestingly here with this case, the inspector general that the whistleblower report was given to was fired. And so this is corruption and espionage and not borderline, I think probably treason at the highest levels. There's a reason that Donald Trump, when he went to get the ballots, he personally called Tulsi and said, you go to Georgia and you oversee this. So in my opinion, this is just my opinion, and I don't know why everybody's so shy to talk about this. Putin compromised Tulsi Gabbard a long time ago. She is the babysitter in the Trump regime for the Russian government to make sure everybody does all of the things that Vladimir Putin wants the United States of America to do. This is as serious as it gets. I haven't heard Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries say anything about this yet. That doesn't mean that they haven't, the flood the zone news cycle.
Drop shipping paid for this car. No chance.
Again, my frustration with being an American right now is there are all of these, not just red flags, like the flag is completely on fire with a nuclear bomb attached to it, flashing. And what are the Democrats doing? And I realize that we are not the party in power, but I do acknowledge that they have microphones. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, now listen, I can't stand Andrew Cuomo. I think he's a piece of shit. But when COVID was going on during Trump 1.0, and Trump was like, yeah, you got to inject bleach or you can put lights up in the body. And he's acting like a complete nut, right? I mean, it's a day in Trump's America. Cuomo brilliantly had these evening briefings. And I remember as a citizen in Oklahoma, I would sit and watch it because I was dying for leadership. I was dying for somebody to walk me through what was going on. We were terrified. It was this horrible pandemic, et cetera. Why Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries don't have this kind of evening chat with the American people like what Cuomo did. I thought it was very effective. You had people all over the country watching it. And I think I know why. I think I know why they don't do this, because they're compromised by the same PACs that want Donald Trump to stay in control, and they are controlled opposition. And so it is my wish that there would be a coup within the House of Representatives and the Senate, and they would vote to strip both Schumer and Jeffries of their leadership positions. Listen, this is what the Republicans did.
Yeah.
They got little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson in there. And let me tell you what, he does Donald Trump's work for him. The only chance we have, because we have no institutional support, zero institutional support as Americans that oppose this regime. The only way that we can get institutional support right now would be for Chuckles and Hakeem to be ousted from their chairs, and we get real fighters. I mean, Chris Van Hollen, Elizabeth Warren, Chris Murphy, somebody in the Senate that's really going to hammer. And then on the House side, we get Ro Khanna, somebody who was going to fight, step up to the microphone all day, every day, and start playing offense. Instead, we're playing defense back here, twiddling our thumbs when Tulsi Gabbard is fighting, which we all know this is not good. If she's fighting this hard, this is full-blown, straight-up treason with 1 degree, 0 degree separation from Russia, my opinion.
No, I completely agree. That was my first thought. This is some kind of Russia deal. We have more proof. And then just pop this up, Kylie. We see that the reason they're saying they can't turn it over, and I thought this was super important. It's locked in a safe. Disclosure of its contents could cause grave damage to national security. Here's the deal. Is there any more damage you can do to national security than having a Russian agent as the director of national intelligence? Like, color me stupid, but that seems to me to be the gravest danger. And I'm like you, where are the leaders coming out against this? Even the super rah, Republican strong defense, national defense people, like, this is fucking serious. We have an alleged Russian agent with shit in her safe that she can't turn over to Congress. And it's been going on for months because of grave threats to national security. And I feel like we're just kind of just now hearing about this. And that troubles me so very greatly, because I'm with you. Like, Ro Khanna, he's got his face out there. Robert Garcia has his face out there. I bet more Americans could recognize Ro Khanna than Hakeem Jeffries. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
I would just add to this that there is always, with everything that the Trump regime has done, it isn't just happening all of a sudden. With it, as it relates to Russia, I always remember this clandestine recording that happened with Paul Ryan, Kevin McCarthy, and I can't remember who the other player was, where they said, Donald Trump is definitely on Putin's payroll. This stays between us, right? This stays. And then there was a California congressman, I believe it's like Rauschenberger was his name. He's definitely on Putin's payroll. And I don't think this guy's in office anymore. And then they spoke about another senator, and they were having what they thought was a private conversation. So when you look at what's happening with ICE, is this new to America? No, it's just new to white Americans. Right. We actively ignored the issues with over policing and lawlessness and murders by police forces in Black communities. We ignored it as a country because it wasn't happening to white people. And now we ignore, in the past, we've ignored all of these whispers about Russia. So this is where I get frustrated with the Democratic Party. Why? If Hillary Clinton was screaming this in 2016, Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian agent, Donald Trump is compromised by Putin, Donald Trump will be Putin's puppet. She was clear-eyed. She was Secretary of State. She got major, massive security clearance. She knows a lot more shit than any of us do. She was screaming it from the rooftops. Biden gets in power, appoints Merrick Garland. None of this shit's investigated. Congress doesn't dive into this. What about that recording? Why didn't we haul Kevin McCarthy? Who told you these people are paid by Russia? And so that's my frustration with everything that's happening right now in the Trump regime. None of it is surprise. We're all fascists.
Right.
There are breadcrumbs. Even the bombing of the boats in Venezuela, there are breadcrumbs to our military doing immoral and illegal things, even under Democratic presidents. And so that's my frustration with a lot of this. And that's why I think our plan moving forward, listener, is we have to elect fighters, beat Republicans, but we also have to have a comprehensive plan that puts in guardrails and rectifies these weaknesses that our republic has. Because Tulsi Gabbard, clearly this is some really bad shit locked up in a safe. And that I would say the biggest national security problem we have isn't her, it's Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, this guy is like, hey, you want our AI chips? Yeah, I'll sell them for you. Give my family $500 million. Well, who do you think who paid for all that scientific innovation? The American taxpayer. Who's profiting from it? Donald Trump and Dumb and Dumber, his sons. Mm-hmm. Why aren't the Democrats screaming that all day, every day? And I will concede that there's so much corruption that it's difficult to have a daily nonstop resistance to it. But I do think if you look at and again, Cuomo, total piece of shit, don't like him, totally effective what he did during COVID. Every single night he had press conferences. They're going to have to do something other than going to an AIPAC luncheon and talking about how, as a United States Senator chuckles, number one goal is to make sure we keep giving our money to Israel to kill little kids.
We do the fun stuff. Riverside handles the rest. Smart.
You know, when I think about this and I look at the last 13 months, I just have no confidence that we have leaders to do that. Certainly not. I mean, we have some, but I know you've screamed this, but when you just look over the course of all the things that have been allowed to go on in this administration, starting with DOJ, Tulsi Gabbard, just down the list, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, Pam Bondi, he wanted to appoint Matt Gaetz. Nobody has stopped it. Nobody has even tried to stop it. So moving forward, looking what's happened over the last 12 months, I look into the next 24 months. I'm sorry, to the next 12 for the full 24 months. And I am terrified of what's going on right now. And I try not to get bogged down in it, but it is scary to think the elections, Russia, all of this corruption, it goes to we no longer have the power. So that's why I'm so thankful for your message about we the people have the power. Movements are the people, because I get really bogged down in looking at what has been done and what's going to be. Okay, moving on. Now we know Elon Musk paid $300 million to the Trump campaign to stop investigations into himself. And he's done it. He's absolutely done it. Stolen all our data, committed all kinds of crimes, in my opinion. But this happened today in France, and I, for one, am delighted. French offices of Elon Musk's X platform raided by Paris cybercrime unit. Here's the deal. Both ex-chairman Musk and former chief executive Linda Yaccarino have been summoned to appear at hearings in April, while ex-employees will be questioned as witnesses, according to the Paris prosecutor. Paris prosecutor said the investigation was broadened to include Gronk's sexualized deepfakes. So this tells me, yeah, they're investigating Gronk and the AI sexualizing all that. He's doing the same kind of corrupted shit in the EU that he is in the United States. Unfortunately for Elon Musk, he hasn't been able to buy the government of France like he has the United States government. So we'll see what happens with that. What do you think about that?
The interesting thing about what's happening in France is when you look at the Epstein files, Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein have conversations about how Russia is funding Marie Le Pen. And Marie Le Pen is the far right Russian puppet of France. And she has tried and tried to win, and she hasn't won yet. And hopefully she never does. And in the United States, Putin's far right puppet, of course, as everybody knows, is Donald Trump. And so you have all of these things, believe it or not, are all linked to the Epstein files. So number one, Epstein files, child pedophilia, child photographs of sex crimes. This is not kiddie porn. These are criminal evidence of a crime. Whenever you see images of children being raped or sexually abused, those are crime scene photos. Well, that's what the Epstein files are all about, on the one hand. On the other hand, beneath that, those horrible crimes against children, is an elite network of men that are trying to change the world order with really bad players involved in it. Putin, Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, really decisive language in there from credible sources that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are Mossad agents that are getting compromising information on people. So it makes a lot of sense that Elon Musk has a blind spot to all of this. Number one, his own father was accused of sexual abuse by his stepchildren and biological children. Number one. Number two, Elon Musk, despite saying, oh, I didn't have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein, he's begging in these files. I mean, pathetically begging. When's the big wild party, guy? And then all of these tech oligarchs, Peter Thiel, are connected to all of this. And the fact that when you think about France and you think about what they're doing right now, that makes you understand exactly why Elon Musk started. He's trying to provoke change in Europe, which Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein celebrated Brexit, which has been a disaster for the UK, an absolute disaster. But these forces that fight wars via propaganda, psychological warfare, that is what Putin has invested in. He has rich American oligarchs that are helping him do this. And it's, of course, for Elon Musk, who clearly is a complete weirdo. He's not going to do anything about Grok and it producing child sex crime photos. He's not going to do anything about that. What he would rather do, instead of having the moral position, is he would rather fund Marie Le Pen, because he doesn't want accountability. And the whole thing we have to remember.
What if your small business could run a TV ad on the number?
All right, y'all. So as we were listening to that, you know, what you can see is basically, and one of the things that I do talk about, and I have said when it comes to, you know, doing the reports on these things and these updates and what is happening, I do report from a place and a standpoint of being in the United States. That's where I reside. That's where I live. But when I say that a lot of this has an effect globally, the things that we're seeing playing out when it comes to geopolitics, these are things that are happening globally. And so as you just heard them even say, you know, what are the effects here that's going to happen when it even comes to the UK, the United Kingdom, right? And there's other countries and stuff involved in this as well and connected to all of it. So it's not just about a certain set group of us. It's about all of us, because in some shape or form, as it trickles down, it's going to affect in some type of way on a global level what is happening and what is going on. And so we'll dig into that, y'all. We'll have those conversations. We'll talk about it in even more detail and stuff, you know. And if anybody, this is an invite, if anybody wants to come and talk that does not live in the United States and lives in another country, and they talk about, you know, how we're seeing how all of this is playing out and affecting other countries, whether for the good or the bad. It can be on either side, right? And we see the decisions and stuff that are being made from other world leaders in other countries now, because they're hopping off. We don't even have the same relationships that we used to have when it comes to NATO and geopolitics. Like, we're losing, we're losing bad. We're down bad. We are down bad. And if you can be in a place where you want to be honest and realistic about what's really going on, you can be able to say that without any guilt or feel as though you're turning against your country. I'm not, right? Honestly, child, if I could relocate and move, I would. But what we need to pay attention to is where we are, what is happening, where we are, and what is going on, and the connectivity of it all. So I really enjoy listening to their conversations. They have really great, deep-rooted conversations and really make some really excellent points as far as everything that is going on. And so we're going to go ahead and continue and let them finish up their conversation. It's literally like 2 minutes. And then after that is done, y'all, we're going to go ahead and get into the celebrity tea and gossip of it all. We're going to be talking about, you know, the big blowout or whatever that has happened now between Nicki Minaj and Trevor Noah after, you know, the skit and the jokes and stuff that he made at the Grammys. She didn't take too well to those jokes, but we've all been clowning and joking on her and keeping it real about how it is she's moving and she's operating this. So it is what it is, y'all. But you see how people is nasty work, their nasty work, you call it out, whether you do it with comedy or truth, with facts or evidence. And then when they get busted and they're seen for who they really are and how they really are and how they really move and operate, then they just double down on being nasty work. And then they start digging, going, you know, below the belt and all that type of stuff. So classic example, right? But we'll get into that video in just a minute. Let me go ahead and let I've had it and Jennifer and them finish, and then we'll take a song break and we will get into MAGA Minaj and her so-called crash out for getting mad at Trevor Noah for making a actual truthful joke. All right, let's go ahead and get back into the video, y'all.
This movement is the driving force behind it is how do we avoid accountability? The American public has told Trump, here's exactly how you avoid accountability. The Supreme Court has told Trump, here's exactly how you avoid accountability. Accountability will give you immunity. And so this is, all of this I feel like is coming to, you know, a blister, a boiling point. The European Union is very aware that the forces that have taken down America have their sights set on them. J.D. Vance's language regarding the European Union is unbelievable. Ukraine right now is suffering immensely with Russian attacks, and their ally, the United States of America, that promised after they gave up their nuclear weapons that we would provide for their national security. And we aren't doing that. Why? Because we know in the EPSTEIN files that Trump is compromised and blackmailed by Putin. And even in the files, Epstein is advising them on how to blackmail him. It's as clear as day. And so, of course, Musk is in this. I say good on France. Raid the shit out of him. And I hope the EU fights these nefarious American immigrants like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, because the immigrants I want here are all of the ones that are in detention centers. I want all of those kids released. I want all of those family people released. These are good, hard-working people. The immigrants I want in detention centers are Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, period.
What a great idea. That is a fantastic idea. I completely agree. All right, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we will be back with more news.
All right, y'all. So that was the I've Had It podcast, y'all. They break it down over there. I love those ones so much because they really say everything, I promise you, that I be thinking, and they say it in a way that I wish I could say it. You know, but y'all, they sensing me out for now, but it won't always be that way. Anyway, y'all, we're going to go ahead and take this quick song break. And then after this, we're going to get into our final conversation for the day. And then we will check into the hearing and see what is going on over there with KRISTI Noem and the impeachment, because that hearing is supposed to be to have her impeached, and she's supposed to be arguing back, fighting back, child, trying to keep her place in space. But I don't know. I just don't think it's going to work. I don't think she's going to be able to skate herself out of this one. It's been too much that's been done, and the severity of what has been done, people have seen it with their own two eyes. We have bear witness to too much of it. And I'm sorry, boo, you're just not the proper fit. You're not doing what needs to be done, and we can't have it no more, you know? And I think us as the people, this is what our votes are for. This is what our voices are for, to speak up and say how we feel about the choices and decisions and the people that are in these places and spaces. And I know there is a lot of voters' remorse, because, you know, they will sit there and argue to you and say, well, hey, you voted for him. Well, not me, child. I didn't. But there are some people out here that did. But now that I think they see how things are playing out and how it's all going down, they're seeing what's really important, how people are being treated, and them even being wrangled up, right, in all of this as well, thinking possibly when they voted that some of these things that these people said that they were going to do when they sought out to have these positions and be in this administration, they actually are doing. And there's, I think, people that thought that they would be exempt. They didn't think that they would be people that would be affected by these choices and, you know, these things that these people wanted to do. But now that they are, now, you know, they feel like, oh, shucks, you know, bad decision. Yeah, we could have told you from beginning, bad decision. But we're not going to make anybody feel bad. This is not about shunning or shaming anyone. We all have made decisions in our lives and probably will make decisions in our lives that we regret later, because for whatever reason, right? We might not have been in our right place of mind. We might have thought it was going to be a good decision, and then it turns out not to be. The outplay turns out not to be within the best favor. And so, you know, that happens. We won't shame or shun anybody for that, but this is where we are. So anyway, let's take this quick song break. We'll get into this Nicki Minaj versus Trevor Noah. And then after that, we'll check in and see what's going on over there with KRISTI Noem's impeachment. We will be right back, y'all.
We are human, blood and bone and soul. The right to be loved. vision. The mission of the television, spitting division, a mental prison. Got the youth chasing likes, addicted to the feed, ignoring the hunger, the fundamental need. They building paper idols on a digital stage, putting our future daughters in a virtual cage. Now we gotta break the cycle, gotta cut the cord. The real word is powerful, mightier than the sword. So we teach them about their history, teach them about their grace, teach them about the power, every single face. We are human, blood and bone and soul. With the right to be made, the right to be whole. This is our story, this is our sacred song. In the eyes of the Creator is where we all belong. We're human, worth more than they can price. Beyond the hateful whispers and the loaded ties. A world where every voice is heard and valued. And truth is not a whisper, but a mighty thundering word. A word of justice, a word of peace, a promise that the fight will never cease. This ain't just a track, it's a call to action. For every mother, father, every single fraction of the community holding it down on the ground. Time to get loud, make a revolutionary sound. Look your child in the eye, tell them that they matter. Tell them their spirit's something to know like a shadow. Tell them knowledge is the weapon, love is the shield, and the truth is the harvest. We're gonna grow in this field. Yeah. Oh, yes we are. We got you back. Oh, near and far. Let them know the sacred word for every single soul on this earth. Quiet. Human. Right to live. Human. A gift to give.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all like that song. I really enjoy that song. Really, it says everything that really needs to be said. And I like that version of it too. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this last video here, y'all, as far as our reports. And it's only about 15 minutes. So Nicki Minaj gets the worst news after backing Trump. That is what we're going to be talking about on this live. And they're going to be breaking down a few things, not just how she has spoke, how she has shown up, but, you know, the backlash that she has gotten, which rightfully so, and also the slap in the face that she has gotten that we all could have told her she was going to get. So let's go ahead and get into all of that just for a minute, and then we'll check in and see what KRISTI NOEM has going on. So let me go ahead and get this up on the screen for y'all. This is going to be audio only on this one, okay? So we'll be listening. All right, y'all, let's get into it.
My favorite thing about the Nicki Minaj news cycle is that she got played. The Trump administration played directly in her face. She posted a picture of the Trump gold card and said, well, then she posted about how her citizenship paper is on the way and she's about to become a citizen.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Well, if you guys aren't familiar with the Trump Gold Card program, it is for high net worth individuals that if they invest $1 million or more into the American economy, they get this Trump Gold Card and they will be on fast track to be a permanent resident, then a citizen. Well, the White House came out and said, actually, let's pump the brakes. The gold card that Nicki Minaj got is not actually a Trump Gold Card. It's just a memento. It's a fake. So it doesn't mean anything. So she doesn't get the fast track towards citizenship.
What do we have, ladies? A fucking clown. We are a stupid bitch. We are a fucking clown.
The White House coming out and making a statement saying that the gold card that Nicki Minaj received was a memento and not a visa in any way. No citizenship status in any way. So you was shucking and jiving for free? For free? You did all of this for a symbolic token of their appreciation.
What I want people to understand is that when it comes to politics, okay, politicians will use you and abuse you for what they need. And once they accomplish what they need, who are you? Who are you? You're speaking out so adamantly about this man, and he don't care about you, girl. You see how fast they cleared that up? You see how fast they cleared that up when you was talking about some, well, exactly. They said, oh, let me just clear this up real quick. We don't want anybody thinking, you know, we actually gave a woman who looks like she's of African American descent anything. Allegedly for educational purposes. Anyway, goodbye.
Honestly, if I say I am shocked by this Nicki Minaj situation, I would be lying. It's funny, yes, but shocking? No, it's not. What actually shocks me is the level of ignorance it takes for someone like Nicki Minaj to genuinely believe she could find an ally in Donald Trump. And let's be very clear, Trump does not care about any other person but himself. He doesn't care about Black people. He doesn't care about immigrants. He does not even care about white people either. And also, he doesn't care about his own supporters. Trump cares about Trump, his interest, his power, his benefits, and that's it. So when this whole gold ticket situation came out and people started saying she got played, I wasn't surprised. What surprised me was how fast the F around and find out happened. It actually came way earlier than expected. And the reason people are reacting the way they are is because she didn't just support him quietly. You know, she came out to rub it in people's faces like she had, you know, secured some kind of special privilege. But anyway, let's get into the rest of the video, and please do also let me know what you guys think in the comment section about this.
Apparently, she don't even have to wait till that man is no longer the president because they said that they do not know her. A White House official has came out and said that the card that Pink Wig was flexing, making it seem like she got her citizenship for free, okay? They said that that was a memento. Yeah, they gave Pink Wig a Pokemon card and said, make it enough. This is so crazy. Did all that shucking and jiving, lying on the internet talking about she got her citizenship, she's signing the papers right now. So why would somebody come out and say that? Then a Homeland Security agent doubled down and said that being that she's been a resident for the last 20 years, she was eligible for citizenship anyway, so she really didn't have to do all this. So that means, in my opinion, she's endorsing this man and supporting him because that's what she wants to do. Them people don't come out and say, you didn't even have to do all this. You was already, you could already get the citizenship. But leave it up to y'all. She's playing chess for a bigger agenda. Is the agenda in the room with us now? Because it's given that she's just showing her true colors and y'all refuse to believe that. Like, them people are disown you, girl. Now what? Like, is she going to continue to openly support these people knowing she didn't really need them? Or is she going to keep buttering them up so that way they don't turn on her and deport her ass anyway? I'll keep y'all updated.
Mark my words. Nicki Minaj is afraid of something. Like this whole Trump speech thing, I pick up the energy of fear. Like she is desperately afraid of something. Like she needs a bigger protection. Like I think she married her husband because he's a monster. And I think she married a monster to protect her from other monsters. But this is different. She needs pardons. She needs immigration, yeah. But my heart of hearts is telling me that the entertainment industry is trying to Michael Jackson her, Wendy Williams her, Whitney Houston her, Britney Spears her.
All right, y'all. So this audio that we're hearing is a compilation of individuals that had taken to their TikTok pages, and they have been speaking about how they feel about overall everything that is going on with Nicki Minaj. And then this all has derived from, of course, you know, what we've seen, her now partnering up with MAGA and Trump. But also, she was going in and crashing out, you know, with Trevor Noah because of some of the jokes that he made. And I do have that audio to play for y'all as well. If you haven't heard it already, I'm pretty sure you have. You know, it was really a small little joke, honestly. It wasn't that serious. But, of course, in typical Nicki Minaj fashion, she's got to get angry and go below the belt and start, you know, saying all the mean and nasty work. But these are some compilations, and I'm just letting y'all hear of what the people are thinking, feeling, and saying about Nicki Minaj and her new switch up now over to the Trump administration and MAGA. So we're going to finish that out, and then I'm going to let y'all listen to the rest, okay? We'll be right back.
So this allegiance is for bigger monsters. She went political because she needs entertainment protection. I'm not a Barb. I'm not even a Nicki fan. I prefer Cardi, honestly. But I have eyes to see.
Yeah, it's about my gold card.
I know Nikki would. She could have that gold card moment for life, girl. But child, the White House said, we ain't give you no gold card, girl. They did give a yellow card for her yielding ass.
Yeah.
They called it a damn memento, girl. Basically, girl, they gave her ass the participation prize. Basically, girl, they gave her ass a Happy Meal toy, girl. The star sticker, the free gift that come with the Avon, girl.
Yeah, it's about my gold card.
Nikki, did you look at the back of the card?
So my gold card ain't real?
It's not real. So it's not real. Hope you got your papers right, girl, because this ain't what you thought it was.
I don't feel cheated out of anything. I can't add or subtract, but growing up on the road, I learned a lot about life.
But that's what you get, girl. Oh.
The White House coming out and making a statement saying that the gold card that Nicki Minaj received was a memento and not a visa in any way, no citizenship status in any way. So you was shucking and jiving for free? For free? You did all of this for a symbolic token of their appreciation. Symbolism. A symbol that they appreciate you that doesn't give you a visa or permanent residency in this country. You got up there on that television at that summit asking them people, should I go now? And saying, I don't really know what to say. For free? For free? Now, this is some next level. I don't even know what to say at this point. I don't even know what is there to say for free?
My favorite thing about the Nicki Minaj news cycle is that she got played. The Trump administration played directly in her face. She posted a picture of the Trump gold card and said, welp. Then she posted about how her citizenship paper is on the way and she's about to become a citizen.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Well, if you guys are unfamiliar with the Trump Gold Card program, it is for high net worth individuals that if they invest $1 million or more into the American economy, they get this Trump Gold Card and they will be on fast track to be a permanent resident, then a citizen. Well, the White House came out and said, actually, let's pump the brakes. The gold card that Nicki Minaj got is not actually a Trump Gold Card. It's just a memento. It's a fake. So it doesn't mean anything. So she doesn't get the fast track towards citizenship.
What do we have, ladies? A fucking clown. We are a stupid bitch. We are a fucking clown.
This is coming from the girl who tweeted in 2018 that she came over from Trinidad and she was alone from her mother and she doesn't want to see kids separated from her mom. And she turned that page very quickly when it was time for her to cozy up to the fascist leader who's doing the same exact thing that she said she was against. So while you want to coon up and coon down and make videos with Katie Miller, and act like you are the conservative queen, they played in your face. They used you the same way they use the Latinos, the same way they use all coons. And you got played with because you're still a fucking immigrant. Peace.
I need all my Nikki Barbs to come to the front. Well, what's going on, Barbs? What's going on? They saying that this shit was fake? No, Barbs. Did your girl do all this for nothing, thinking that she played shit when they was playing chess? So we know Nikki the post of this. She laughing, she chilling, she saying, what y'all thought I sold out? I was just trying to get my gold card, even though she already had her green card. But yeah, Barbs, why they just come out and say your girl was just for the memes? They didn't really fuck with her. You switched on us. This is why we say these niggas don't love us. They don't like us. They only use us. And we still want to kiss ass. And you know why? Because we always want to do better than the other black person. I'm not gonna lie. Nikki might have been trying to play a game, y'all, but they was playing a game too. They needed the blacks. she needed a car, the official one. Because after this, her green might not be good. Can Nicki come back from this, y'all?
So you mean to tell me that Nicki Minaj got on here telling people, well, I got my Trump card, this gold card of citizenship, and because of my great president, allegedly, and da-da-da-da-da, just for the White House to come out and say, oh no, that wasn't citizenship, baby. That was a souvenir for your contribution. They said, thank you for your contribution, girl. That'll be all from you. That'll be all. And you know, what I want people to understand is that when it comes to politics, okay, politicians will use you and abuse you for what they need. And once they accomplish what they need, who are you? Who are you? You're speaking out so adamantly about this man, and he don't care about you, girl. You see how fast they cleared that up? You see how fast they cleared that up when you was talking about some, well, exactly. They said, oh, let me just clear this up real quick. We don't want anybody thinking, we actually gave a woman who looks like she's of African-American descent anything. Allegedly for educational purposes. Anyway, goodbye.
I had hoped that Nicki was doing this for that card for her citizenship, and she made it seem like that's what she was doing this for. All for the White House to come out here and embarrass her and let everyone know that that gold card that she was laughing about on Twitter was just a souvenir. Now, my thing is, they didn't even have to come out and say that. They could have just let her believe that it was actually a citizenship gold card and she bought her way in or she got it for free, whatever. They could have let her believe that and just run with it on the internet. But no, they had to embarrass her in front of the whole world, basically. And that is what makes it more embarrassing, because she did all of this to still not even get what she wanted, and then to be embarrassed by the same people who she was seeking, I guess, asylum from or safety from or whatever she was seeking. They also embarrassed her, which is so sad for her, because it's like, where can she really go where she's actually appreciated and respected? The Black community, clearly we don't really respect her for real. The white people, we're never gonna respect her, but I guess she thought she was gonna get something out of that. So where can she go? Like, where can she go?
A bit more of a crazier take, though. This is why I feel like what happened with Nicki Minaj with that gold card just happened. White House had to come out and drop a statement and say it was just a memento, because they don't have a history of working with these individuals. Like genetic trauma passed down, genetic predisposition, intuition, that secondary mind that's in the gut. It's not, it's not set to notice this. That's why she got played. That's why she got, they say tokens get spent, right? Well, that's what happens. She got played because she doesn't have the genetic predisposition, right? That inherited intuition to know better. They don't have our stories. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you know foundational or heritage Americans from the children of immigrant Blacks.
Damn. This whole situation really highlights something bigger than Nicki Minaj. It shows how till today people still choose not to learn. Donald Trump's record is not hidden. His history is not a secret. The allegations, the lawsuits, the ICE raids, the racism, it's all documented. People know about this. And yet people still convince themselves that they will be the exception, that somehow if they show loyalty, if they show praise, if they align themselves closely enough, they will be protected. And history keeps proving that's wrong. Trump does not reward loyalty. He uses it. The moment it stops benefiting him, you become disposable. And that applies to politicians, supporters, celebrities, and everyday people alike. And what makes this situation worse is that Nicki Minaj already had privilege. She already had wealth, influence, and access. And instead of using that platform to understand power structures, she leaned into ego. And that's why the backlash is so loud. Not just because people disagree with her politics, but because she proudly displayed ignorance at a time when the consequences of Trump-style politics are hurting real people. And also note that this isn't about mocking her pain, it's about accountability. Supporting harmful system and expecting immunity has never worked. Not historically, not politically, not socially. And every time someone thinks they are smarter than history, history humbles them. But I don't know why people do not want to learn. But anyway, that is all I think about this situation, this video. Please do well to let me know what you guys think in the comment section about this. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like, share to people that needs to see it, and also subscribe to support the channel if you haven't. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
All right, y'all. So that video basically is just so y'all can hear a bit of what everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people were saying on the socials and stuff, specifically on TikTok, child. It was going in over there. But I'm gonna let y'all listen to what Trevor Noah said or whatnot, if you hadn't heard or whatnot. You know, he is a comedian, and so this is what comedians do. You know, they poke fun, they make jokes. I didn't see what was so serious about it, but you know, when people get all up in their feelings, child, and they're very embarrassed of their own actions because they actually start to see how ridiculous they look and the choices that they make are, then they get upset and they get mad with you. But you know, they're the ones who did it. We didn't do it. You decided to do it. So what are you getting mad at everybody else for? But anyway, I'm gonna let y'all listen to this audio. Give me just a second. I'm gonna get it up here on the screen. And y'all let me know what y'all think. I don't even think the joke was nasty work or anything. I think what really was more so nasty work is the people in the crowd, child. Everybody that was in the audience and how everybody left alone. That's gotta hurt. Let's get it.
She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing. She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Actually, Nikki, I have the biggest ass.
The Grammys hadn't even reached their first award when Trevor Noah detonated the night with a joke that instantly split the room. The comedian and longtime Grammy host walked on stage smiling, but his opening monologue quickly turned sharp. According to the live Grammy broadcast, Trevor paused and announced Nicki Minaj is not here. And before he could continue, the arena erupted. The applause wasn't polite. It was loud, sustained, almost celebratory. Cameras cut to shocked faces, laughing celebrities, and a crowd that clearly understood the punchline before it even landed. In that moment, the absence of one artist became louder than any performance. Trevor Noah let the cheers ride for several seconds, visibly amused by the reaction. Then he doubled down. As captured in clips circulating immediately after the telecast, he joked that Nicki was still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. He followed it with the Trump impression that pushed the bit even further into chaos. The crowd howled. Some stars buried their faces laughing. Others looked stunned. The joke fused pop culture, politics, and celebrity feuds into one explosive opening salvo, setting a tone that felt less like an award show and more like a late-night roast broadcast live to millions. One of the most replayed moments didn't even come from Trevor. It came from the audience. Viewers watching the broadcast spotted Chrissy Teigen in the background giving what looked like a thumbs up and mouthing bye as the crowd celebrated Nicki's absence. Social media users quickly isolated the clip, turning it into a meme within minutes. Entertainment commentators noted that the reaction symbolized how deeply polarizing Nicki industry goes. Crowd wasn't just laughter, it felt perfect. The segment trending, she fired back on social media. In a tweet that quickly went viral and was screenshotted across entertainment outlets, Nicki made a bizarre and unfounded allegation referencing Trevor's supposed boyfriend, attaching photos of Jay-Z to the post. The message confused fans and critics alike. Observers pointed out that Nicki has been publicly feuding with Jay-Z Nation for over a year over financial disputes she claims remain unresolved. Her response shifted the story from comedy to confrontation almost instantly. Industry watchers say the tension didn't come out of nowhere. Nicki's relationship with Roc Nation has reportedly been strained since last year, a dispute widely covered in music business reporting. Trevor's joke may have tapped into that ongoing friction, whether intentionally or not. By the time her tweets spread across timelines, the Grammy monologue had transformed into a full-blown celebrity flashpoint. Analysts described it as a collision of ego, politics, and unresolved industry drama playing out in real time.
She has been an unbelievable supporter. She gets almost as much as Mr. Wonderful over here. He's been another one. It's been so good. But I'd like to ask you to come up, Nikki. Come on up. Come on. She's been such a great supporter and a great supporter of Trump accounts. And I said, I'm going to let my nails grow because I love those nails. I'm going to let those nails grow.
Hello. Well, I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Amen.
The irony is that this controversy marked a milestone for Trevor Noah himself. Sunday night was his 6th consecutive year hosting the Grammys, a run confirmed by Grammy producers in pre-show interviews. Executive producer Ben Winston had already announced this would be his final time as host, and if the goal was to exit with impact, he succeeded. His closing year didn't fade quietly. It detonated into one of the most viral Grammy openings in recent memory. By the end of the night, the debate had overshadowed several award wins. Some viewers praised Trevor for fearless comedy, arguing award shows have become too safe. Others accused him of punching down and turning the stage into a personal attack. Nicki supporters flooded social media defending her, while critics replayed the cheering crowd as proof of industry tension. The Grammys once again proved that sometimes the loudest performance isn't musical, it's cultural. Whether remembered as comedy genius or unnecessary provocation, the moment sealed Trevor Noah's Grammy legacy. His final hosting appearance didn't just entertain, it ignited a firestorm that pulled in music royalty, political satire, and one of hip-hop's biggest stars. And in an era where award shows fight to stay relevant, controversy may be the one thing guaranteed to keep everyone watching.
Well. What do y'all think about all of this that's going on with Nicki Minaj and Trump and the MAGAs? What now side it seems she has taken for probably her own personal reasons? We can't be sure. Again, all of this stuff we can say it's alleged. I mean, it's been put out here, in the public for us to see and bear witness to. And then we just can have our own thoughts and opinions about all of it. Honestly, it's not really too far-fetched from what we typically see happen when it comes to some of these celebrities that are very, selfish. They've been this way their whole career. It's part of their, personalities. We see it. We know it. They care about self. They're self-inflated. They give off very much narcissistic vibes. It just is not surprising to me that she would be moving and operating in this direction the way that she does, based off of what we've seen from her over the years and how she is as a person. But what I do think is funny is that little gold card, child. So she thought that gold card was going to buy her, a seat, I guess, to citizenship. But really, it was just like, thank you for coming. Here you go. You know, like those little mints that you get when you go to a wedding or something like that. Y'all, I cannot be sure. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all of that. But before we leave about here, and I know we have gotten on the longer side of things today because some of these reports and stuff, you know, they're kind of very detailed. But we're going to go ahead and get into 5 News. And they got some, you know, just some updates and some reportings as far as this impeachment when it comes to KRISTI Noem. Y'all know that we watched the beginning of the live, we watched the video of the actual hearing. And now as the hearing has progressed, we have some reports on the floor about what exactly was discussed and is happening and where we're at now. So I just want to go ahead and play that for you guys, and then we'll get up out of here. I'm going to end it with a bop, and then, you know, I'll be back later on this evening with some more things to share with y'all that we got to talk about and get into as well. But let me go ahead and get this one up again. This is a news reporting. So under copyright 107, we're going to go ahead and show that one to y'all because we can cover the news over here for educational purposes and news reporting. So let's go ahead and get into this last video real quick from 5 News, and we'll be out.
Meanwhile, Department of Homeland Security Secretary KRISTI Noem is facing fresh criticism today following Saturday's deadly shooting in Minneapolis. Senate Democrats say they will not support funding the DHS without additional restrictions on ICE, and that could lead to a partial government shutdown this weekend. Erica Brown is on Capitol Hill now with the latest.
There are new calls Wednesday for DHS Secretary KRISTI Noem to be fired or face impeachment proceedings in the wake of Saturday's shooting death of Alex Preddy by federal agents.
She clearly doesn't know how to manage. She's never managed a large organization, and she's failing at every possible measure of the job.
Republican Senators Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski have joined congressional Democrats who are calling for her ouster, even as President Trump continues to stand by her.
You have confidence in them? As long as the president does, I'll support it.
Other Republicans are calling for an independent investigation.
At no point in time do I see an assault. And I don't think anybody in America believes he was assaulting those officers.
The backlash to the Minneapolis shooting has led to a showdown here on Capitol Hill. Senate Democrats are vowing not to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless reforms to immigration and customs enforcement are put in place.
Rein in ICE and end the violence. That's our goal.
Lawmakers have until the end of Friday to reach a deal or face a partial government shutdown, something both sides say they want to avoid.
Americans want accountability. So let's have a separate vote and a separate debate.
I think the administration is willing to sit down with them and have a discussion, perhaps a negotiation about how do we move forward. But the one thing I do know, and that is that a government shutdown is not in anybody's interest.
Congress has already passed 6 bills to fund various parts of the government, but 6 more remain. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Introducing Augment Code Review, the current best code review.
All right, y'all. And so the final video that goes right in part with that one, let me go ahead and get that one up there for y'all. I played that one so y'all can know and see and hear exactly what was being discussed as far as this government shutdown, discussions around the impeachment, and now we are here with the hearing as far as the impeachment for KRISTI Noem. So I wanted to put 2 and 2 together, y'all, so we don't be out of the loop. Because I know sometimes, you know, if you just pop in there with something right in the middle of it, you don't add the context to it, you're not going to understand. So I wanted to play that real quick for y'all to see what was being set up. And now let's go ahead and see the updates as to what is being playing out right now. So let me go ahead and put that one up next. I'll be right back.
Secretary Noem, you lied to me under oath that day. You lied to the American people, and you have betrayed the trust placed upon you in your role as Secretary of Homeland Security. You defied federal court orders when you refused to order the deportation flights to El Salvador in March to turn around. Federal courts have also found your department to have violated federal injunctions in your continue to send non-citizens on deportation flights, with some courts having called your orders unlawful. Secretary Noem, I just have 3 questions for you. 1, why did you lie under oath by saying DHS was following all federal court orders when they clearly were not?
Congressman.
Question 2, let me finish my questions. Question 2, why did you mislead the American people when you said that no American citizens have been arrested or detained by federal immigration agents? And my last question, number 3, Donald Trump said that your ICE agents haven't gone far enough. Do you think terrorizing American citizens and assaulting peaceful protesters isn't far enough?
Congressman, the Department of Homeland Security and this administration complies with all federal court orders. We always have and we always will.
Not true.
And we will continue to appeal. And sir, I will even tell you that at the highest court, at the Supreme Court, the Department of Homeland Security in our litigation has an over 90% success rate in winning at the highest court in our battle against activist judges across this country.
Madam Secretary,
we will continue to appeal. And then when it gets to the highest court and we get a decision, it is proven that
I
we
want to
are
reclaim my
right,
time
that we
here.
have been compliant. I will also say, you talk
Madam
about deporting
Secretary,
of
let
US
me.
You want me to answer your questions or not?
I do, but let me, you haven't been telling us the truth. Look, there have been at least 170 known cases of citizens being arrested or detained by federal immigration agents this year alone. This is the truth. Are you lying to the American people right now by denying these reports?
When we are doing our targeted enforcement operations against criminal illegal aliens, individuals that are in that area may be detained until we verify who they are, and then they are released. This has been done for years, and every single law enforcement operation that has always happened, we follow the same protocols, and we continue to do that. We have never once detained or deported an American citizen. We have not held them and charged them. When we find out and verify their identity, then that is when they are released. You also asked about ICE agents going far enough. Sir, I will tell you that every single ICE agent, CBP agent, federal law enforcement officer that's out there doing their work every day, none of them will rest until our communities are safe. None of them will rest until
Secretary Noem, it is a fact that you ignored federal orders.
And our children and our grandchildren can grow
Let
up
me
in a
reclaim my
country that
time
truly
here,
is
please.
safe.
Let me reclaim. Secretary Noem, it is a fact that you ignored federal court orders in March and in May of this year. Do you plan on ignoring more federal orders?
We always
I'm
comply with all federal
sick
court
of your lies, and the American people demand the truth.
Because you keep saying it doesn't make it true.
I am sick of your lies. The American people are sick of these lies. American people demand truth.
America is very happy that finally they have a president in the White House that gets up every day to keep them safe.
Madam Secretary, your incompetence and your inability to truthfully carry out your duties of Secretary of Homeland Security, if you're not fired, will you resign?
Sir, I will consider your asking me to resign as an endorsement of my work. Thank you very much.
I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back his time. I'll remind members that they are entitled to ask questions during their time. Witnesses are entitled to answer those questions. Members are entitled to reclaim their time. So if we're going to have questions and answers, please allow it. You can reclaim your time if you want, but witnesses are here voluntarily. Please at least give them a chance to answer the questions that you're asking. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Pfluger, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it's unfortunate that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle for 5 straight years now have no concern for anything worldwide threats-wise. And I have proven that. We're supposed to be talking about worldwide threats, but unfortunately, we're talking about homeland threats in our homeland. And Director, can you just reaffirm the number for us of people that match the terror watch list that are in our country?
There's 18,000 known and suspected terrorists in the country right now that came in under Joe Biden's watch.
18,000.
18,000.
That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And that's just what we know of, Congressman.
Secretary, despite even members on this committee that have called our law enforcement and ICE and DHS and Border Patrol and other agents names and slandered them, I support you, and I support what you're doing to secure the homeland. The Working Families Tax Act allocated $13.5 billion to the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice to reimburse states for the cost of the Biden-Harris administration's open border policies. No state suffered more than Texas. Fentanyl, drug and human trafficking, violent crime, stress on local emergency response services caused substantial damage to my district, to our state, to my constituents, to people that live and work in Texas. And in response, our state launched Operation Lone Star to secure the border when the Biden administration abdicated their responsibility to do that. We built miles of border wall. We had other barriers. We deployed state troopers, National Guard to deter the invasion that we suffered during this time period, which cost our state over $11 billion. And so as part of this Working Families Tax Act, we allocated $13.5 billion to reimburse those states. Last month, along with our senators, I led the Republican Texas delegation in sending a letter to you and Attorney General Bondi highlighting this and requesting that the state of Texas be fully reimbursed. And I wanted to get a status on that reimbursement today.
Yes, thank you. And we still to this day remain incredibly grateful to the state of Texas for their leadership during that time. That was challenging times, devastating times for what we saw happening down there. And Texas stepped up in a way that was absolutely incredible. So yes, those dollars are being formulated and allocated. If you remember, many states deployed their National Guard down there. I was governor of South Dakota at that time, and my National Guard was deployed down there as well. So reconciling the costs for every single state and looking at that allocation, we're making sure we're doing due diligence to make sure that it's appropriated correctly.
And just to be clear, I want to make sure that that money does come in the form of the reimbursement to Texas.
That's what we're working with the White House on doing, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to what Director Kent talked about, these 18,000 people, can you give us an idea of who these people are, what type of threat they pose to us? We saw it wasn't some accident. This was an assassination and a murder. It was not an accident, despite my colleagues saying that it was an accident. It was a murder and an assassination of a National Guard hero. So what other types of threats are you tracking and preventing from happening?
Yeah, I would say, sir, that we face the terrorists that we've faced for years in ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, individuals that are here that are radicalized, but also we face the cartels as they've infiltrated our country under the last administration, their proliferation of human trafficking, drugs, and violence, going after Tren de Aragua as well, MS-13. Those individuals are still a very real, clear danger every day on the streets, and we encounter them, arrest them, and deport them and bring them to justice each and every day. Beyond that, sir, you even have gangs in cities that are local.
All right, now I want y'all to listen real closely to this part, okay? Now I know how people say that I am and I can be, but I'm telling you, for real, this is serious. Now listen to this. We have known for many, many years now in this country, and I live in this country, and I know about certain cities. They got gangs and whatever. We know they there. We know they exist. We know they move and they operate, okay? Now listen to who she about to call out and what specific gangs she about to call out. And I am just asking the people, if y'all are listening and paying attention to the racism, the underlying racism that is behind all of this, please tell me y'all hear it and y'all see it. Please tell me, because I'm going out of my mind here a little bit, because I'm seeing people that want to talk about it and argue against it in a certain type of way where it's just like, what are you saying? Like, this is clear racism. All of this is happening. All of this is playing out. And the underlying feelings that these people and these individuals have is racism at the core. And one of the things that really bothers me as well is that when we have people from the Black community say this is not our fight, please stop saying that. Please stop saying that, and please stop believing that. Because guess what? This is a hamster wheel of history continuing to repeat itself. And just now, because you feel as though you could take a lunch break because the focus is on another ethnic group of people, that we're off the hook. We're not. We're not off the hook. They will continuously and always come for us. That's a fact. Been doing it, we'll continue to do it. Oh, now because it's just what? The magnifying glasses on the Hispanic community and Spanish people, we get to say, oh, we wash our hands of it. No, that's not our fight. We ain't got nothing to do. I understand how people feel. All right, you may feel as though ain't nobody come to your aid when you needed assistance. All right, okay, get over it. Put on your big girl panties and your big boy draws and keep it pushing and moving forward. Because honestly, when we're talking about these serious matters, honestly, when it comes to this stuff, all of that goes out of the window. Okay, that's small fry. That's child's play. We talking about what we really seeing here. I want y'all to listen to the rest of this. Listen. Now we talking about, because the biggest thing that they've been trying to lean in on is that this country is in bad shape because of all of the crime and the criminals and the terrible things that have been happening within the country. As if that just started last year. And I say that to be honest and true. Crime is wherever you go. Crime is global. There are criminals. There are people that commit crimes. There are things that are happening in our cities, in our states, where we live. We know it. When I say we, I'm saying we know it. We see it. We understand it. We get it. There's also reasons as to why there is so much crime and people are desperate and have to do some of the things they have to do. But that's a whole conversation that they don't even really want to have. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But it's been here. When I say it's been here, I mean nobody had to bring it here. It was already here inside the country before anybody or any other group of people was granted asylum, was granted residency, was granted citizenship. Crime is always going to be around. When these crimes was happening, y'all didn't have nothing to say back then. Y'all wasn't trying to clean up the streets or make it any safer back then. Now, all of a sudden, why? Because if it's your narrative, now you want to talk about the crime. And then you also want to deflect away from the crime that this organization, that ICE, is committing by now what? Making gangs the poster child of the conversation, and specific gangs that are specific races and groups of people. Let's keep it on. Let me play it, and I want y'all to listen to the rest of this. Listen to how this is what they do. When their back is against the wall, they get exposed, and they know your time is up, the jig is up. We see you for what you really are, how you really move. Oh, look at the deflection techniques. Now you want to deflect. Now it's all about the gangs, right? Okay. Let's keep going and listen to what she about to say.
That are terrorist organizations. The Latin Kings in Chicago are absolutely terrorists to their communities, and we work every day to make sure that we're protecting those communities. So I could not prioritize one over another because they're all killers. They're all killers, and they all are destroying families each and every.
Who she just called out? The Latin Kings. The Latin Kings. I'll repeat it yet another time. The Latin Kings. Who's being targeted by ICE right now? Hispanic people. So the main group that you say, or gang that you say is bringing so much havoc to the communities, is the Latin Kings, because that is convenient for you to say, because y'all are targeting Hispanic people right now. Do y'all not see how this works? And look how angry she's getting. She's getting angry because it's coming from a place of racism. I showed y'all, and if y'all want to listen back to one of my other lives, I showed y'all several years ago 2 different speeches that she made. This is a person who was fighting for the Second Amendment talking about guns, talking about, yeah, we got the right to have our guns. She's hunting. She's doing all of these things, right? We're bearing arms. We will not stop. It's our rights to bear arms. I will choose violence. That's what she said. That's what she believed in. Now, all of a sudden, all of this violence and this crime is a problem because there's a certain targeted group and race of people that you don't like and you no longer want in this country. So you'll find anything to say and any issue to make up to make people feel equally the way you do, when really it's coming from a place of hate. Y'all ain't care about that. Y'all did not care about no gangs in this country that are in this country. These are not people that are from outside of this country. These are people that's in the country. Now, am I saying that I support crime? Am I saying that I support us doing each other this way in these neighborhoods? No, I wish all of that could be cleaned up, but that's for us to figure out amongst ourselves. But for y'all to come in and bring ICE in here and try to weaponize this ICE organization group that y'all put together to go after certain races of people now because you no longer want these races of people in this country because you want to make America great again, back when America was what? Majority white. I have to say it the way I have to say it. It is what it is. And I don't know. It's my personal thoughts and opinions. And I don't know if anybody agrees with me or feel that way as well. But I'm telling y'all, that's what I see when I look at it. When have y'all really cared? When have y'all really cared about crime and violence? Not when we got dirty cops and detectives that equally commit the same amount of crimes and violence, that work with the gangs, as long as they're getting their pay. Huh? That will go and steal the paraphernalia, that will go and steal the money that they made, snatch it up, put it in their pocket before they put it in the evidence locker. Yeah, don't act like we don't know that. And those cops typically are white. Let's just be real and call a thing when we see it. We live in these communities. We see how things move and operate on these streets, in these cities, in these communities. We know. Y'all don't care about that. As long as you get a benefit from it, you turn a blind eye to it. So when did you really start caring about crime in this country? When? And to sit up here and gaslight the American people or the people in this world, period, as if this is why y'all are doing this, because you care. You want to clean up the streets. You want to take crime away. You want to make people safer. How, Sway? When we got ICE that is unaliving people in the streets, that are separating people from their children, running up in schools and churches and workplaces, snatching people up, hemming them up, putting their knees on their necks, throwing them in the back of unmarked vans and driving them to Lord knows where, but say, oh, we're going to just send them back where they came from, which you don't even know half of the time where people come from, because we are a melting pot here in this country. So you cannot just look at somebody's skin tone. You cannot just go by somebody's accent and say that they come from Puerto Rico, they come from Haiti, they come from Somali, because of what you think they look like, how they talk, how they dress, who they worship. Now you done made it up in your mind, you know where they from. All the while, these people were born right here on this soil. But you're going to hem them up and drag them off, saying that they don't belong in this country. It is hatred, it is prejudice, and it is racism. And we need to call it out for what it is. And I'm tired of staying quiet about it, because I see it for what it is. And we've been seeing it. We've been experiencing it. And it's not stopping. It's getting worse, because we're turning a blind eye to it as if it's okay and it's allowed to happen. Oh, this is America. Won't catch me slipping, because I see it for what it really is. And I'm not angry, and I'm not bitter, and I'm not attacking anybody. I'm passionate about what I'm saying. We must wake up and smell the coffee beans here. There is a racism problem in this country and in this world. It is. And until we start speaking about it truthfully, displaying it, I mean, this is what they're mad about because it's playing out in 4K HD Ultra. We're seeing it on our TVs. We're seeing it on our cell phones. We're capturing it in raw real time. And that is what they hate. They don't want us to be able to show people this is what it is. This is what it looks like. This is how it goes down. This is what is happening. And when we catch their raw emotions and feelings on camera as well, when they speak up like she's getting angry right now, we see right through it. We know how you feel. We know how you think. We know how you move and how you operate. You wear it on your sleeve. And if we pay close enough attention to it, there's no question about it. So I had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry. Let's continue with this and we're going to end because I'm going way, way, way over the time limit here. But I had to get it off my chest. Hold on. Oh, hey, Imani, she said, realistically, they are unaliving and jailing protesters as well as being united. We must also use wisdom. Absolutely. Right? And you see how she tried to just tiptoe and tap dance her way across that question. Ma'am, even if your argument that you're making is, oh, these people are criminals, oh, these people are dangerous, they're doing this, they're doing that. But the ones that we have proof that y'all have been detaining and hemming up are citizens. They have not committed no crimes. They don't have no records. They go to work. They go to their jobs. They have their families. They're not wreaking havoc and harm in the country. Why are they being hemmed up and beaten up? Why are they being unalived? Can you explain that to us, please? She couldn't do it. She couldn't do it because they know at the core, the truth is there is no answer. You have no answer. Let's keep going a little bit more and then I got to end this. I apologize.
Every day.
For both you and Director Kent, do terrorist organizations around the world, such as ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and others, still have an intent to attack America, to attack our homeland, to utilize every method?
Absolutely. Our intelligence and our information that we deal with every single day is addressing those threats on our streets here in the United States.
Director Kent, can you give us an idea of what those tactics, techniques, and procedures could be that we need to stay alert of?
Honestly, the attacks of October 7th, the decentralized and just barbaric nature of that is the new terrorist playbook. They're not looking necessarily for a spectacular attack like we had on 9/11, but targets of opportunity like we tragically saw with the terrorist attack in Washington, D.C., these smaller cells or even individual operatives taking action. That's what has us very concerned, combined with just the sheer volume.
My time has expired. Secretary, thank you for your commitment to reimburse Texas. I yield back.
Gentleman's time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, for 5 minutes of questions.
Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Se-Jun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows our
And
laws.
can you please
and
tell
knows
Mr.
that our
Park
laws
why
are
you
important
deported
and
him?
every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD, many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges. This man took 2 bullets for our country. You have broad authority, by the way, as Secretary, to issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you
Thank
to
you.
remember that
Madam
our
Secretary, the
programs
man
need to have
behind
integrity
you,
as
please
well.
stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you, Jim's wife, Donna, has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80 10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr. Brown for his service to our country?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your service to our country.
Now, what possible explanation can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of bad checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get enforced.
You have
and
broad
which ones
discretion
don't.
as the secretary.
We need to follow
You can issue
the law
parole, you
and
can do all
enforce
kinds
the
of things,
laws.
but you're choosing not to. Will you commit again to just reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife, who also loves this country?
I will review the case.
Now, Madam Secretary, you've already heard the story of Lance Corporal Alejandro Barranco, the United States Marine veteran who is behind you, who also has 2 brothers who are United States Marines. Will you thank Lance Corporal Barranco for his service?
Thank you for your service.
His father, Narcisco Barranco, is a landscaper in California who has lived peacefully in our country for 30 years and has no criminal record. Last spring, while a hardworking man who raised 3 sons to be United States Marines. We need men of that character in this country. Again, as Secretary, you have broad discretion. Will you consider Lance Corporal Barranco's father for parole in place to stay in our country, owing to the fact that he has contributed to our country by raising 3 United States Marines?
This is an opportunity to remind everybody that every person that's in this country illegally has an opportunity to voluntarily go home and come back the right way.
He
Follow
raised
our
3
laws,
United States
we will
Marines.
facilitate that.
He has been living here
Let's-
peacefully, doing his job for 30 years. You have discretion. You are choosing not to use it. Madam Secretary, you promised America that you would go after the worst of the worst. But these people are not the worst of the worst. A Purple Heart recipient, a military spouse, the father of 3 Marines. And it's not just veterans and military families. You are locking up and deporting children with cancer, mothers with babies in the NICU, United States citizens. There are many problems with your leadership, but the biggest problem is this. You don't seem to know how to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys. Go after the bad guys. Go after the terrorists. Do not go after veterans, Marines, children,
Gentleman's
United
time's
States citizens.
expired.
I yield
Gentleman's
back.
time's expired. I now recognize the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. Green, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you. The previously Democrat-controlled administration allowed over 13 million border crossers from over 170 countries and territories to break our laws, invade our country, rape our women and children, and murder our own people. They set all-time records for the highest number of illegal aliens ever encountered in a single day at 14,500, in a single month at 370,000, and in a single year at 3 million, not including the known gotaways. Thanks to Secretary Noem and the hard work of Tom Homan and all the brave men and women at DHS, our new Republican-controlled admin has produced the safest and most secure border our country has ever seen. Thank you very much for that. For the 7th consecutive month, U.S. Border Patrol released 0 illegal aliens into the United States. Daily average apprehensions at the southern border are 95% lower than the daily average under the last administration. 10 months under Trump has seen less apprehensions than 1 month under Biden. Since January 21 through the end of November, there have been 117,105 total enforcement encounters along the southwest border, which is nearly 40% less than the monthly average during the Biden administration. Meanwhile, there has been an 8,000 increase in death threats against ICE law enforcement. Secretary Noem.
All right, y'all. So that was just a little piece in there that I left, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, which now she has even changed her side and her views on a lot of this. But what I really wanted to show was that part with KRISTI Noem, and we will have more reports, that we can pull apart and break down to be a little bit shorter in the next few days, because the hearing was today. And so after, those long hearings and stuff, there's reports from news stations, there's breakdowns that come and, really bundle it all up so we can see it for what it really is instead of listening to that whole long hearing. And I'm sorry for putting y'all through that. I know it was very long. And I'm also sorry for getting a little bit emotional and a little loud, but I just feel as though we really have to come to a point where we call a thing, and I just see it. I see it for what it is. We've been seeing it. We continue to see it. And we have to, just pay attention to what people are saying and doing. I watched that woman. I sat there and I watched her and I looked at her face. I looked at her getting choked up and caught up when being asked the hard questions that she didn't have the answers to. And I also looked at the disdain and the disgust and the 10 toes down it seems that she wanted to keep when she believes that the way that they're going about doing this whole ICE operation is okay. The way that these people are being treated is okay. Even if it's against the law, despite the fact that these people are not illegal, despite the fact that these people are not criminals committing any crimes, they're not dangerous, they're just living their lives, but it just seems like they're just not the race that you want here. And you got to make America great again, right? You got to clean it up. It's got to look a certain type of way. That's just how I think. Look at everything that we bear witness to over this year. The dismantling of DEI. Look how they talk about DEI, what they think that was in place for, and the only thing it was good for, right? What was the conversation around all of that? We've had people that admit it. If I go and I see that there is a black pilot, I'm not getting on that plane because I don't think that they can fly it properly. The people will tell you exactly what they think and how they feel. And if we just don't listen to it or take any heed to it and think, oh, that's just a joke, hee hee ha ha. It's not a joke. This is really how people feel sometimes. Not all, but some. And a lot of these things that they're doing and they're putting in place, I just believe, my personal belief, at the core of that, it is because we know what? History tends to repeat itself. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end us with a bop. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for rocking with me this long. We did go over in time. It's not supposed to be this long, but I had a lot, to play there and talk about and get out. All right, y'all. I will see y'all on the next live. I appreciate all the love and support. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you will, like to. If you like the channel, if you like the content, if you get something here and it's something that you can appreciate. I appreciate it if you do that for me. But anyway, y'all, I will talk to y'all soon. I'm going to go ahead and calm down. And we'll be back on the next live. All right, y'all. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Talk to you soon. Golden out. Bye.
sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let it ring out loud. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea, like the mighty waters. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. We remember it all. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Hope is alive, yeah. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on. Let's keep marching till victory is won. Stony the road we trod. Bitter the casting ain't right, but we're still here. The dawn's early light. It's a new day. What so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming. Hold your head. Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Through the perilous fight. All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare. Let it shine. The bombs bursting in air. We won't back down. Gave proof through the night.
For justice.